And one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice and to attend meetings of public bodies in which any business affecting their interests is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of the Act, the Fort Lee Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published on January 11th, 2024, and posted on the district website at www.flboe.com, published in the board's designated online media outlet newspapers, the Record and the Star Ledger, filed with the clerk of the Borough of Fort Lee, and mailed to all persons, if any, who have requested said notice. Please be advised this meeting is being recorded and may be broadcasted on local TV and online at a future date. The Open Public Meeting Act allows for remote participation at board meetings and defines meeting as any gathering, whether corporeal or by means of communication equipment, which is attended by or open to all members of a public body held with the intent on the part of the members of the body present to discuss or act as a unit upon the specific public business of that body. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Colback.
Here. Ms. Curry? Here. Mr. Knight?
Here.
Mrs. Cotan? Here. Mr. Lopez?
Here.
Ms. Morel?
Here. Mr.
Here.
Mrs. Victor.
Here. The board will be convening to executive session to discuss legal, personnel, and other confidential matters. We will move to the second floor. The public may remain here. There are restrooms that you can be directed to if you should do that. The board will reconvene into public session in approximately 1 hour at 7:30 p.m. May I have a motion to go into executive session?
Motion.
Second.
Motion Rubino, second Morel, all in favor?
Roll call. We just state for the record that minutes will be taken at the closed executive session. Minutes will be taken at the closed executive session and released to the public if and when the need for confidentiality no longer exists. And action will be taken by the board when the meeting is in public session.
Okay, so motion Rubino, second Morel, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we will be in executive session. The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice and to attend the meetings of public bodies in which any business affecting their interests is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of the Act, the Fort Lee Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published on January 11th, 2024, and posted on the district website at www.flboe.com, published in the board's designated online media outlet newspaper, the Record and the Star Ledger, filed with the clerk of the Borough of Fort Lee, and mailed to all persons, if any, who have requested said notice. Please be advised this meeting is being recorded and may be broadcasted on local TV and online at a future date. The Open Public Meeting Act allows for remote participation at board meetings and defines meeting as any gathering, whether corporeal or by means of communication equipment, which is attended by or open to all members of a public body, held with the intent on the part of the members of the body present to discuss or act as a unit upon the specific public business of that body. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Byers-Kang?
Here.
Ms. Colback?
Here.
Ms. Curry?
Here.
Mr. Knight?
Here.
Mrs. Cotan?
Here.
Mr. Lopez?
Here.
Ms. Morel?
Here.
Mr. Rubino?
Here.
Mrs. Richter?
Here. The board convened executive session at 6:30 to discuss legal, personnel, and other confidential matters. Dr. Kravitz, will you begin by sharing the superintendent's report?
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for attending this evening to and for those of you who are new, welcome to Fort Lee Intermediate School. For those who visited our high school this past weekend, for Circle of the Arts. And I would like to thank all of the students and all of the art teachers and everyone who has participated in making a beautiful presentation for our children, which is what we're all about. Also, I'd like to follow up from our last meeting to thank Olivia Reed, who's represented Fort Lee at the National Spelling Bee in Washington, D.C. When we last left, she was the Northern New Jersey champion. She went down to Washington, D.C. and made it through the first 2 rounds. So congratulations to her. I also would like to thank everyone for sending me emails. Many of you probably in this audience, we do read them and we acknowledge all of them. We are aware. However, there are certainly certain things that we can and cannot comment on because of a pending investigation. So publicly about the situation, but we honor every one of you for participating in your public right, which is to share your opinion, which is what we appreciate. So thank you for the public schools. As far as one other thing for the agenda, Ms. Richter, I have a walk-in resolution under P, personnel, 11P. I will read it. Therefore, be it resolved that the Fort Lee Board of Education, on the recommendation of the superintendent, approves the following resignation: employee FD, teacher, high school, effective date 6/30/2024. Thank you. You said 11P. That is 11P.
Thank you, Dr. Kravitz. Do we have committee reports?
Yes, we have a curriculum committee report. The curriculum committee met on May 29th. The purpose of the meeting was to discuss the new K-4 math program. There is a change in state math standard this year that needed to require a new curriculum change, as well as phasing out an old gold program that wasn't well received by the parents, and we have heard parents who came to our meeting in the past, so thank you for sharing your feedback. The district will be rolling that out next year, right? Correct, next year? Currently, it is, the teacher committee has been formed, and the committee represents all 4 elementary schools across the districts, across different grades and different cohort, general education, special education, and LLD. The committee will be recommending and vision for the new program. It is currently being used by our 5th and 6th graders in the district, and it's been used for 2 years. The feedback has been positive. The advantage to the Envision program is that it allows for better families home support, and we know that many parents have said that the GO program is very difficult for them to help their children at home. So that's a very, very key feedback we heard back from parents. And it also shows that from grade to grade, the vertical articulation, meaning the adoption from one year to the next, is smoother. So we're excited to see this new program being implemented. Thank you.
Any other committee reports? Okay, do board members have questions or comments on tonight's agenda or any other topic?
Yeah.
Just speak loudly, please. There's a lot of people.
So tonight, agenda 2P, resignation of Miss Michelle Chung and Miss Chelsea McFarland. They were both teachers of my children, and they are wonderful teachers. So my heart is breaking to read that they are leaving the districts. We wish you the best, and I hope you guys change your mind before September.
So, hi, I have a comment.
Oh.
Wait, go ahead.
No,
You wanna go first,
ahead.
Paula? Okay,
No, you can
so
go.
also I wanted to comment on Miss McFarland as well. I remember when she first came to our district, that was when Miss Lockhart was leaving. And I watched her grow so much. She will be dearly missed. And I wanted to say the Circle of the Arts is such an amazing event. It's like so much to watch and see in one night. I feel like maybe in the future we can have it for a little bit longer, maybe 2 days. I know it's a lot of work, but there's so many things to see. I want to go back to the gym just to be able to go through the museum of all the artwork. It was incredible. Also, I would like to thank Miss Yoon for putting together that amazing Pacific Islanders night. That was a jam-packed auditorium full of fun, music, the children, the parents, everyone. It was just an amazing night. So I've seen so much progress in Fort Lee's school system, especially at the high school, the intermediate and the middle school levels, the elementary school levels. Everybody's doing great fun things too. But I was really happy to see the high schoolers doing so much. Thank you.
Ms. Colback, did you want to speak?
Sure. So one, I want to apologize for not being able to be there in person. I understand that we have a packed crowd, standing room only. I did see pictures of the line around the building. I had a family emergency with my dad and had to take a flight to Florida, so I'm participating remotely. I do want to say that with the situation, I appreciate everyone's emails. I've received probably over 500, maybe even 700-800 emails over the last few days. Have read them. I got a world history education from reading them. Speaking for myself, I just want everyone there to know that I do take what you say in the emails to heart. It's a very serious matter for me. I'm hoping that our district, and we're all asking a lot of questions, and for me, it's important to be thorough. And so, we are stewards of the next generation of leaders, and it's important to me that, they appropriately get critical thinking. And so I just want to let everyone there know who speaks tonight, as with the emails, I'll be listening very closely to your comments and take them very seriously. Thank you.
I have a motion to open the floor to the public.
Second.
Motion Morale, second Knight, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed or abstentions? Okay, we will hear first from any members of the public that are physically located at the cafeteria. Then we will take questions and comments from those participating remotely. Participants are limited to 3 minutes in which to make their statement. For remote participants, please select the raise hand button. District Technology Coordinator, Mr. Ruggiero, will recognize you in the order of raised hands by lowering your hand. Please unmute your microphone, state your home address and your name for the record, and begin your comments. Please, everyone, limit your comments to 3 minutes. Take note of the direction given by the security officers for those who wish to speak in person.
Thank you.
Mr. Ruggiero, I'll let you know when we're done here.
Thank you.
Now it's 420. Yeah, 420 is what I see for just.
Yeah.
Ready, come on. Where am I going? Right to the podium, right there, right there.
Right, you just make sure the microphone's on.
Give your name and.
Please remember to speak into the microphone so everyone can hear you.
Okay. Here, esteemed trustees, good evening. My name is Ben Kaplan. Can you hear me?
It's on. You just got to speak into
Raise it up.
Or hold it in your hand.
Hold in your hand.
Okay, thank you. Dear esteemed trustees, good evening. My name is Ben Kaplan. I live in Hackensack, New Jersey. I've lived in Bergen County and New Jersey for about 40 years. My children have gone to various schools in Bergen County, Hackensack, Teaneck, Fairlawn, and Waldwick. I'm talking to you tonight because I'm deeply concerned about this high school history presentation that was recently conducted by Fadia Balgahoon and Stefan Wolowitz. It was about the Gaza War and the history of the Middle East. And it seems that the teachers purposefully organized a stealth presentation so that there would be no record of the presentation by confiscating student cell phones. The teachers apparently did not have expertise in this particular subject matter. From what I understand, they have some kind of expertise in social studies and perhaps special education. The material that was presented by the teachers was deeply flawed because, among other things, it glorified Hamas, which is a Palestinian political, they identified it as a Palestinian political party and an armed resistance movement. They omitted the crucial fact that our government and many other countries have designated Hamas as a terrorist organization. Obviously, it's a crucial fact which was deliberately omitted. And just to give you an idea, the charter in Hamas says that Israel will exist and continue to exist until Islam will obliterate it. Okay, the charter also says the day of judgment will not come about until Muslims fight the Jews, kill the Jews, when the Jews will hide behind stones and trees. The stones and trees will say, "Oh Muslims, oh Abdullah, there's a Jew behind me, come and kill him." In addition, the charter says that initiatives and so-called peaceful solutions are in contradiction to the principles of the Islamic resistance movement. And finally, the Hamas charter says there is no solution for the Palestinian question except through jihad. Initiatives, proposals, international conferences, they're all a waste of time and vain endeavors. So, the presentation also omitted some other very important, vitally important facts that the Israelis, the Jews, have lived in Israel since the second millennium, 2000 BCE. In other words, for about 3,000 years before 1948. But the presentation talks about the Jews coming there in the late 1800s and the 1920s and so on. The presentation also admitted that close to 1 million Jews were forced to abandon their property belongings without compensation in order to flee the Arab countries, Egypt, Iraq, Persia, Yemen, and so on, and they had to go to Israel because they were attacked and killed by Arabs. So in conclusion, what I would urge the board to do the following: conduct an immediate investigation as to how this is taking place, issue a public report, and take the required decisive action to rectify the harm done. Also, all the students who participated in this presentation should be given an unbiased presentation by teachers who are experienced, competent, and knowledgeable about the Middle East. So with this information provided, so the misinformation provided is apparently appropriately understood. Thank you very much for allowing me the opportunity to speak, and I look forward to hearing how the board will act. Thank you very much.
If everyone could please be mindful of time, 3 minutes, thank you.
Good evening. I'd like to thank you, thank the entire everyone who's here, and thank the Board of Education for inviting us to this meeting. My name is Shmuel Bergman. I live here in Fort Lee on 1638 Old Palisade Road, and I'm proud to serve as the rabbi of one of the synagogues in the community. I'm here as a proud member of the Fort Lee community who is concerned for our students. As a proud American citizen and as a Jew. And for all those reasons, I stress the importance of responding forcefully to the classroom presentation under discussion that was aforementioned. The presentation was full of inaccuracies, but I would like to focus on how Hamas was presented. Slide 20 of the presentation entitled, "Who is Hamas?" states, Hamas is a Palestinian political party, an armed resistance movement. And the words resistance movement are bolded and underlined. The clear goal of the emphasis on the word resistance is to legitimize Hamas and its violence against both the citizens of Israel and its own citizens, and to argue Hamas is not a terrorist organization. This assertion is egregiously false and dangerously anti-Semitic. Hamas openly advocates for the murder of innocent Jews and has followed through on its ideology. On October 7th, Hamas murdered 1,200 people before it was stopped, including 33 Americans. It's currently holding 120 hostages, including 8 Americans. If murdering grandparents, parents, children, and grandchildren isn't terrorism, if raping and then mutilating scores of women isn't terrorism, I don't know what is. U.S. State Department recognizes this obvious fact, and for teachers at a U.S. public school to tell Fort Lee students that Hamas's murdering of Jews isn't terrorism is not only anti-Semitic, it's also anti-American, and it's simply a miseducation that cannot be tolerated. Therefore, swift, harsh consequences for the teachers who participated in this miseducation is in order. The message we must clearly communicate to our U.S. teachers is that if they attempt to indoctrinate their students to anti-Semitic and anti-American rhetoric, they will lose their job. To ensure that something similar does not happen again. How was this lesson given? Was it approved? If so, how? And if not, why not? Our mission tonight is to ensure our students receive an American education that imbues them with the ideals that makes our country and community special, and we reach out to all fellow citizens to join with us in that mission. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Beryl Steinbach. I'm a Fort Lee resident and a retired New Jersey licensed teacher, having taught English at Montclair High School for 23 years. Recently, I had the privilege of filling a maternity leave position here in Fort Lee for 8 months. During my time as a maternity leave replacement teacher, I worked with many smart and dedicated Fort Lee teachers and administrators who follow curriculum guidelines clearly set forth by the district. So I want to say publicly, we can be proud of so many hardworking Fort Lee educators for their commitment to our Fort Lee students. Let this unfortunate experience with these two teachers not taint the excellent education that's being provided in our schools by our teachers and the strong leadership that is being offered by our administrators. Having said that, a teacher has an enormous responsibility to his or her students to convey accurate and meaningful curriculum, information that will enrich their lives and help them understand our complex world. The two teachers in question, Ms. Balgahun and Mr. Wolowitz, clearly violated their responsibility by conveying inaccurate and misleading information about Hamas and Middle East history to a captive audience of high school students. I say, shame on them, shame on them. The district should take swift action to fire these teachers. And to provide accurate professional development regarding Middle East history and current events for all the teachers in this fine district. Thank you so much for your time and for your commitment to our Fort Lee students.
Good evening. I'm Harold Steinbach. I'm a Fort Lee taxpayer. I reside in the Colony, 1530 Palisade Avenue. I too would like to speak about the quote-unquote lesson plan done by Ms. Balgahun and Mr. Wolowitz. I'm a proud first generation American. I'm a proud product of public education through college. I was brought up to respect teachers. No one's to be more respected than teachers. Teachers are the only path forward to success. Teachers like God, my house. That's how we were raised, and that's how we raised our kids. So when a teacher tells a student a fact, it should be a fact. Things the teachers say will stick with kids for life. Being a teacher is a sacred trust. So if they say something's an accepted fact, that's what it should be. And it was a violation of trust to misrepresent facts and to pass off their skewed political views as facts. These two teachers, this delivered a lesson in secret that could have been taken out of any textbook in an Arab country that's still seeking to destroy Israel. In fact, I'd like you to find out where this lesson plan came from. I think it's been passed around. I don't even think I wrote it. And it was just full of anti-Semitic tropes. It didn't call Hamas a terrorist organization, which the United States government does. It didn't bother to mention that Israel was the ancestral home of the Jewish people. It didn't say that Israel came into existence through the proclamation of the United Nations. It didn't say that in 1948, the Palestinians were granted a state, which by the UN, which didn't remain in existence because every Arab nation rejected it and sought to destroy Israel. It calls Israel's offensive war a genocide, which is not what the United States government calls it. And it shockingly misappropriates the unique term "never again," which is about the Holocaust, for their uses. So in conclusion, these two teachers abused the public trust. They tried brainwashing our students in secret with their own twisted views. And there's no other solution than to fire them before they do so again at our students.
Good evening. My name is Rabbi Meir Kanikov. I've been a rabbi in Fort Lee, Chabad. For the past 27 years, this summer will celebrate 28 years. My first time at a board meeting of education, because I trusted that the teachers will do their right job. Although they are underappreciated in our society, we need to make sure that our teachers are trusted and our teachers are authentic and honest. Allowing the distortion of facts to enter our classroom is the very reason and the beginning of the downfall of the Fort Lee education, and people will move. Last week, I had a conversation with an Asian neighbor, and he was moving. And I asked him, "Why are you moving?" He was moving from Cliffside Park to another neighboring town. And I said to him, "Where did you grow up?" He said, "Fort Lee, New Jersey." I said, "So we have a great education system." He says, "I want better for my children, and I'm moving elsewhere." That should not be able to happen in the United States of America. The money and the taxes that we pay to allow a teacher to premeditate going into a classroom. We entrusted these teachers, they exploited these children. This is molestation of their minds. Because these children, especially these children, are special class education, which means these are vulnerable children that are swallowing the words and can't express back to their parents what they hear in that classroom. We need to make sure that these teachers are fired, full stop. I believe, and I don't know the details completely that you know, but one of them is tenure, one is not tenure. I believe the tenure more than the non-tenure. She should know better what the policy of the Board of Education is, and a curriculum that's not approved is forbidden and poisonous. She brought poison into our classroom with our children, and if we don't make the red line here, this is the demise of our education system. Red line Well, eyes are on you, eyes are on you. You can't brush this away. You can't say we voted and we passed. Eyes are on you tonight, and they will continue to be on you because they. Do not think that if you push this away, people will go back to bed. We will not. We will vote. We will vote everyone out of office, and we'll make sure that Fort Lee remains united, peaceful.
My name is Roy RJ, I live in Fort Lee, New Jersey. When I talk to people about government. And say,
A little louder, please.
When I talk to people about government. And they say government doesn't work, I say you have to move to Fort Lee. I've been very proud to live here. Now, I'm gonna talk about, this is a special day for me and my family. In 1942, in the Battle of Midway, I had relatives fighting because they believed they were a product of education in America. They believed they were fighting for what was right. The same date in 1942, Harry RJ from the shores of England sent his last letter home. And the Jews then knew when they were going into Normandy that they were to fight until their death because they didn't want to get captured. They knew what was going to happen to Jews. The Germans going to win. They came back, they believed in America, fought in the civil rights movement, fought for what's best in America. This is not what's best in America.
Bravo.
Good evening, my name is Warren Gottlieb, and I'm here today as a Jewish alumni of this school district. Having graduated from Fort Lee High School just about 35 years ago on the field outside of this room. Also graduated of Lewis F. Cole Middle School, where we're gathered here tonight. And I've driven over an hour from where I currently reside to be here because this school and this community holds a special place in my heart. My time here was formative, shaping the person I am today and instilling in me a deep respect for education and the pursuit of truth. It is with a heavy heart that I return under such circumstances. Over the weekend, I was stunned to learn that 2 Fort Lee High School teachers recently delivered a rabidly anti-Semitic, anti-Israel propaganda presentation under the guise of a legitimate lesson plan, all after confiscating students' cell phones. 3 minutes simply isn't enough to begin to address this outrage. The dissemination of such biased and harmful content not only undermines the credibility of our educational system, but it also endangers the well-being of Jewish students. So what to do? Well, clearly, as you've heard here tonight, and I'm in full agreement, the teachers involved must be held fully accountable for their actions. That's number one. And if you're concerned about standing up and doing what is necessary to effectuate that change, don't worry, because we'll make sure that every eye in this room, outside this room, and the established media will be on you until it happens. That accountability is only part of the solution. Clearly, in any district, and it pains me to the bottom of my heart, but in any district, but particularly this one, in which a brazen set of circumstances could unfold like this, okay, requires a lot more than 2 people being shut in the door. I'm gonna give you 3 things that need to happen right away, and they're pretty simple. Number 1, out of this meeting, you need to, if you haven't adopted it already, the IHRA definition of anti-Semitism. That's fine. This definition has been widely accepted and endorsed, and it provides a clear framework for identifying and addressing anti-Semitism in all of its forms. I'm sorry, I'm hurrying through this. Second, form a truly independent committee of current and former Fort Lee parents from the Jewish community that has members that are not simply seen as rubber stamps, from the BOE or administration and task that committee with bringing in respected organizations such as the AJC, the ADL, along with independent consultants to conduct a thorough review of the Middle East history, Israel, and Jewish culture curriculum. Have those recommendations delivered directly to the public and adopt them. And do an internal audit to see what your exposure for this fiasco, and God knows what else has been occurring, under Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, with respect. And finally, I want you to know that, in my current community, we faced anti-Semitism did rear its ugly head, and we stood up and we were unyielding, and our district did turn it around because they knew we were serious. And I can promise you that if I have to come down here again and again and again, because I love this school district and I love this community, I will. Mark my words, I'm back up. Thank you for education shapes the minds and hearts of future generations. And the Fort Lee School District holds too special a place in my heart to sit still while it was used to spread the most vile form of anti-Semitism. And this is my final sentence. To the parents who might be afraid to speak up because they fear retaliation, you are not alone. We will stand with you. We have your backs.
We have the invitation to the other members of the public who are waiting to speak. Please be mindful of the 3-minute time limit that you have in accordance with board policy. When you hear the buzzer go off, please stop your comment out of respect, quite frankly, for the other speakers who are waiting patiently to speak. Thank you so much.
My name is Helen Singer-Katz. I've been resident of Fort Lee for over 40 years. My son is a graduate of Fort Lee High School, 2007. I've always been proud of our education system and Fort Lee High School. I was very much involved in the parent association when he was in school. And I was thoroughly aghast at what happened with these two teachers and how they tried to brainwash our students, and they should be fired. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Everyone before me was very eloquent in what they said, so I don't have to repeat it. I think we all know it. But we have to set the record straight, and we have to set up some sort of a lesson or a presentation to provide to our students and give them a true picture of this situation. So that they don't walk out of this feeling that they have been trodden upon, and they have to go. Yes, they have to go. And I was looking at your public participation rules. Rule number 3, the board will not entertain. The board will not entertain any comments from persons who communicate obscene material, make statements which are considered bias, intimidation, in which a person intends to intimidate any individual or group for race, color, religion, handicap, sexual orientation, or ethnicity, or makes comments intending to harass or speak any offensive language. These are your rules, and your teacher should be following those rules.
Yeah.
Okay, the anti-Semitism that they showed was disgusting and horrible.
Excuse me, sir, just your name and address for the record.
My name is Michael Valens. The disgusting, horrible racism that they showed is very, very bad. But there is a bigger issue. They are basically supporting an organization that says death to America, which brings in every single American, especially people like me who is a veteran. We just recently celebrated a holiday called Memorial Day. People gave the ultimate sacrifice, which is the thing that they own, which is the most important, their lives. And if these two maggots, these two pieces of excrement are allowed to come into a school and spread their garbage saying death to America, that is an insult, a disgrace to every single veteran that ever served in the military, past, present, and future. I want each and every one of you to go to Arlington Cemetery. There's plenty of graves there. You have a good selection. You go over to the grave and you look at it and you say, I spit on you by allowing these termites to come into a classroom and spread their filth, their garbage, their nonsense, their pollution to small children who might believe what they're saying. They should have been fired 1 hour after the remarks were made. You don't find them. So you go home, you look in the mirror, and you say to yourself, I have just resigned from the human race. And that's all I have to say.
Hello. Okay, this is Adrian Roydberg. I've been going to Fort Lee High School, Fort Lee Board of Education schools all my life.
Hi, good evening. My name is Valentina. I too am a Fort Lee High School student.
I am Sophia Shazo. I am an American Jewish, also Israeli, and I'm proud of that. And I refuse to have anti-Semitism in my school. I am a senior at Fort Lee High School.
Fort Lee Board of Education schools my whole life, and this is just a disgrace to see in my own school. It's disappointing, quite frankly.
So in regards to the issue at hand, us 4 students, which are very few of us from Fort Lee High School in this room, it's more of an older audience, more Jewish and Israeli community. You know, it's important for us to speak out the Fort Lee High School actual students that go to the school. And I just want to say that as a current student, I think it's important for us as a Jewish and Israeli community of the town and the school to hear the Fort Lee Board of Education opinion regarding these 2 issues: the public condemnation of Hamas as a terrorist organization, and number 2, the public condemnation of anti-Semitism at Fort Lee High School, which is completely unacceptable.
So personally, I am not a Jewish student, but I still feel like I should speak on the matter because I was a Fort Lee High School student. I have witnessed how this situation has affected Jewish students, and teachers who target these students should not have a platform and need to be held accountable for their actions.
I'm gonna state what they wrote on their slides. They said, we must also remember that having anti-Zionist stance does not mean you are anti-Semitic. This is completely false. If you are anti-Zionist, that means you are against Jewish people. Hold on, I'm going to who's Hamas slide that was repeated many times. It says Hamas is a Palestinian political party and armed resistance movement based in the Gaza Strip. They are not a resistance movement. They are terrorists. They hate Jews. Also, on the October 7th slide, they said that Hamas launched over 2,000 rockets into Israel and were able to break out. They did not need to break out. They have free access to anything in Gaza. They were not captive in Gaza. This is completely false. They are against us. They hate Israel. They hate Jews. And I do not think these teachers should ever be allowed to teach in any school.
My name's Ari Levy, and I've been a resident here in Fort Lee for over 20 years. My child was born and I am still awaiting information around where that investigation is, of where this curriculum started from, how it came about. Because there are many issues beyond the history, which is false and presented, but also thinking about children, the fact that they were presented bias, and that terminology utilized in the classroom to begin the day, where we put our trust in these teachers to be able to educate our children, not bring their bias to the table, telling our children that our history is wrong, that our history doesn't count either, right, in there. We all have voices, they should be heard. There was only one side presented. And the kids, certain kids were singled out and asked whether they'd be comfortable sitting through a presentation such as this. How does this get, how is this allowed in an education department?
Members of the public, would you please sit down? Please. Can everyone please have a seat? Can everyone please have a seat? Stop disrupting the meeting.
Listen, you gotta calm down. If you don't settle down, the meeting's gonna start. Settle down and sit down. Settle down, sit down, please. Everybody gets a chance.
Members of the public, can you please stop disrupting the meeting?
Please sit down. Please sit down.
All members of the public have a right to be here. Can you please sit down?
You have to calm down and sit down. Please sit down, please.
We don't have this thing.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Education is supposed to be about the children, not one group, all of them. But they were singled out that day. And the anxiety and the possible depression and other aspects that come with it, that is unacceptable. These teachers do not have a right to speak to my kid that way, or anyone else.
Good evening, my name is Vladimir Ilkin, please drive her along. So I won't repeat everything that the previous speaker has said. I will try to go from a more formal perspective. So, as we know, Hamas is designated as terrorist organization by the United States Department of State and by the United States government. And basically presenting the views presented by those teachers would fall under political activities, which is prohibited by the district policy 3233. It's a strong assessment policy 3233, political activities, which prohibit political activities by teaching staff in the classroom. So clearly that was violated. I also have a question, and I want to thank the board for item 5P on the agenda, last two lines. Seems that two teachers are placed on administrative leave effective May 28th and May 29th. I just want to make sure that this resolution will take place, it's legitimate, even though the names are not spelled out on the printout. So I hope it will just take place. And I would encourage the board to proceed further and to not renew the contract of the non-tenured teacher and proceed with tenure charges of the tenured teacher. And please consider a restorative lesson to the affected students. Thank you.
Evening, everybody. You got one hell of a job in front of you. I don't want to be in your shoes. I don't want to be in your shoes at all. I'm speaking to you as a parent. I'm not giving you a history lesson.
I'm sorry, name and address, please.
I'm sorry. Daniel Incanatani, Fort Lee resident, Center Avenue. You have a hell of a job. One of my son was affected in this class. The questions I have, the anger I had, I've been thinking about it for the whole week, but really what I want to tell you, not tell you, there's a couple things, right? So, can somebody say to me, did this really happen? Yes, the phones were taken away. You've heard it hundreds of times now. Was he told that it's going to be biased? He was. Was he told that if you don't like it, you can leave the classroom? He did. That material made it to the classroom, Google Classroom. I ask, if all these materials are pre-approved or teachers have to hand in their work, how did this work to not get approved or looked at before they made it to Google Classroom? I'm just trying to. I'm not anti-Palestine, I'm not any of that. It's about our kids. I listen to people argue outside about this and the lines and people. Everybody forgets the reasons why we're here. There were kids in a class, they were presented something that was biased as per the teacher. It was biased as for people that have a mind and realize what's right and wrong. They were asked to leave. So my thought is, to you guys, we're in a type of world right now where we thought this was not gonna come to our doorstep. I told my kids, the reason that we have to stand up for this is because we watch it on TV, we know that it happens. We stand in 2-hour traffic in Fort Lee because there might be, parades or might be things that can't get across the bridge or whatever that might be. Do you wanna be the board who says, I will not allow this, I will not allow one of my teachers to show this type of material to our children? How are you gonna stop it in the future? Are you gonna be the board that says, you know what, it's okay if we show a little bit of this, because we might show a little bit of something else? What's next? You're gonna have a North Korean teacher talk about South Korea? What's next? You're gonna have a Russian teacher talk about Ukraine? Where does it end? Where does it start? I've had a week of it, but it's also frustrating. I want to share with you. It's been a week. It's been a week. This happened last Thursday. And the fact that we're here, but we're still saying we're like, it's personnel, we're talking about this, it's kind of disturbing a little bit. Be the board that says this is not allowed in a school system because you know it's right. Not because 100 people give you a history lesson. Because you know that this should not have made it into a Google Classroom. How did it make it there? Maybe the teacher said, you know what, I'm gonna sneak it in. We need to come to the bottom of this. And this board, you have to do the right thing for your town.
I'm going to be very short and I'm going to mince the word. My daughter is going to be 8th grade next year. My daughter is going to be 8th grade next year. In 1 year, she might end up in high school or be Bergen Academy, Bergen Tech, I don't know, maybe high school. And potentially, she might end up in one of those teachers' class. So if that happens, I'm going to pull out. I don't want this scumbag terrorist to teach her. I don't want that. In the 7th grade, she has amazing history teacher, Donna Pistinich. We need more teachers like that. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Michael Schwartzman, a resident of Fort Lee and has been a resident for over 30 years. My daughter has graduated school number 3, the middle school and the high school here. And I'm very concerned of what's going on here. And I agree with everybody who said things before me. But I would like to point out this. I'm an immigrant from the Soviet Union and came to the United States 47 years ago. I became a citizen 5 years since, and I've been a tax-paying citizen ever since. I went and completed high school in the Soviet Union. Soviet Union, not Russia, Soviet Union. I immigrated in 1976. And I know when the teacher of history presents lies, total lies. We don't want the Soviet Union to be here in the United States. We immigrated from the Soviet Union.
keep lies from people who come here and do propaganda to the young kids.
Bravo!
You have the responsibilities to stop it. You need to teach truth. You need to teach truth, in history especially. And this is what I'm charging you with. You have to get rid of these two liars. People have no idea of what really is the truth and the history to push their political views onto little children. 86, there was a KGB officer who escaped to the United States, who said the best thing that the KGB did, he infiltrated the universities and the schools in the United States. They infiltrated the minds of the then professors. Don't do this. Don't get to the level of being propagating the lies to the little children. Thank you so much.
Hello, thank you for taking the time to listen to us today. I'm Masha Abigail, a longtime Bergen County resident with a child in the Fort Lee School District. Wonderful school, Fort Lee School 4. We are the family that is moving, that the rabbi mentioned earlier. We are moving to Fairlawn. I am speaking to you on behalf of the next generation of children that are not here, that are unable to speak. My 7-year-old wanted to join me today, and I told him I didn't feel safe. I speak to you as a Russian-American Jewish immigrant married to an Israeli Moroccan. I speak to you as a friend who was brutally murdered on October 7th. Hamas is not a resistance movement. When you go home tonight, and all of you will be thinking about this tonight, I can assure you that. I would ask you to deeply think about the impact you can have on the next generation of children, not just Jewish children, but all children. I'm going to close with one question. Do you want Fort Lee making national headlines because it's a safe, loving, good town with good schools? Or do you want Fort Lee to be remembered as the town that was on the wrong side of history?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Lee Cohen. I have the honor to be president of Temple Bethel of the Palisades. Sorry. I have the honor to be president of Temple Bethel of the Palisades. I also am recently retired, almost a lifelong resident for close to 75 years now of Fort Lee, K through 12, Fort Lee education. And until I retired 2 years ago, I had the honor of being the borough attorney of Fort Lee for 25 years and the labor attorney for Fort Lee for 25 years. In fact, on a number of occasions, I was even specially hired by this Board of Education to remove employees for you. Now, I ask you a simple question that all of these people assembled have on their minds. We would like an answer tonight. Shouldn't be too hard. You took the right step, initially. You suspended the 2 teachers. I understand there are due process considerations. But I ask you now, the facts seem pretty clear. Of course, they're entitled to a hearing. Have you prepared the tenure charges? Have you filed the tenure charges to remove the tenured teacher? That's 1. 2, for the non-tenured teacher, have you voted to let that teacher go? That teacher is at will. Have you reported this incident to the New Jersey Attorney General's Bias Task Force? If the story is correct, and I say if the telephones were confiscated from the students, even for a brief time, that's thousands of dollars of telephones which were stolen under the law. And you should report it to the police department. Of course. Now, I don't know if your counsel is here, but I would like an answer to those questions. Anybody? Have you prepared to take your charge?
I'm right here, sir. Good evening. There will be no responses from the board as this matter is still subject to a pending investigation. As you know or should know, as a practicing attorney, it's privileged personnel and subject to the attorney-client privilege as well as pending or anticipated litigation. Any other responses from the board will come at the end of public comment. Thank you, sir.
So, I don't disagree with anything you said, sir, but did I understand you correctly to say that at the end of public comment tonight, the board will announce a decision?
The board will respond and or make comments to the extent it can. As a practicing or former practicing attorney, you, I'm sure, well know the bounds of privacy, of personnel, of attorney-client privilege, of pending and or anticipated litigation. I'm sure you would agree that none of this can be commented on or responded by this Board of Education in public tonight or quite frankly.
No, I don't agree with that fully.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
For example, if you vote the tenure charges, you must do that in public.
Sir, actually, you're wrong. But this is not a back and forth. Tenure charges pursuant to Title 18A are voted on in closed session. Sir, your time is up. Thank you.
You can announce that, and I know it, and you know it.
Good evening. My name is Linda Naisner. I live in Fort Lee as of about a month and a half ago. And I'm living in Fort Lee just about a month and a half now, but I feel that I need to speak up tonight as a former teacher. I'm proud to say that I was a teacher at Livingston High School, one of the top high schools in this state, and I retired in 2020. Everyone spoke tonight very eloquently about the type of history lesson that should or should not be taught. I want to say something about how a teacher should treat all of their students in the classroom. As a teacher of a diversified community, I never singled out a single student. I didn't point out religion, race, or color. Everyone was equal to me. I overheard in this situation that students were singled out. That's a terrible traumatic event to happen to a child. My mother, my parents are Holocaust survivors. The beginning of the murderous life that my parents went through, my mother was thrown out of high school because she was recognized as a Jewish student. Jewish students in Nazi Germany, they were recognized and pulled to the front of the classroom and had their features measured. This is very scary. We don't want a reenactment of what happened in Nazi Germany. Students should not be recognized or pulled aside because they are different. We should all embrace all of the students together. And this is an aspect that wasn't spoken about tonight. But having been in the classroom and tried all of my professional life to embrace all of my students, this was definitely a wrong that should be recognized. This in itself is a case for firing teachers, for letting teachers go. And I think this should be recognized even more than the state level. It should go to the national level. Thank you.
Siam, Bergen County. Assalamu alaikum, shalom, peace to everyone here today. It's been a very rough 8 months. I feel a lot of hate in the room. Yes. I feel like, yes, there's a lot of hate, and I feel we're all creatures created
Sir,
by.
hold on 1 second, please. We'll stop your time for 1 second.
Do not use the elevator. Use stairwells where necessary. All handicapped occupants shall use the
If everyone could just sit and stay where they are until the firefighters tell us what to do. If everyone could quiet down so that the firefighters can tell us what we need to do, thank you.
Right here? Just with the report, I'll come right back, let me know when you're ready for me.
There has been a report of an emergency. Proceed only to the nearest exit and leave the building immediately. Do not use the elevator. Use stairwells where necessary. All handicapped occupants shall use the building evacuation plan.
You know what? Everything's okay with you, we're okay. All right, please sit down, everybody, everything is okay, everything's all right with the fire alarm. There's no fire, please sit down, calm down. Where's Mike, we good to go? Everything is okay, there's no fire, we're good.
So if may members of the public, excuse me, may I have everyone's attention? I just want to make an announcement, sir, you can get your time. We had a brief recess due to the fire alarm that was pulled. I would respectfully, on behalf of the Board of Education, ask that everyone maintain your composure, your civility, and respect for everyone in attendance this evening. We want to not interrupt the meeting. We want to allow everyone who is assembled here this evening, as well as online, to be able to participate with their 3 minutes of public comment. I want to remind everyone that if there are disruptions in the meeting, the board may suspend the public comment and continue with its business. Under the Open Public Meetings Act, the board is required to set aside a portion of a meeting, simply a portion. And so it doesn't have to set aside 3 or 4 hours, etc. So if everyone can maintain their composure, respect everyone who's speaking, whether you agree or disagree, so that we can get through this evening, this meeting, and the board can take its action in accordance with this morning. Thank you.
Sir, your 3 minutes
Okay.
start now.
Okay, 3 minutes, and I got
Quiet down,
2:33 up
please,
there.
quiet down.
No, we've got to hear.
So again, members of the public, we are reconvening the meeting. Can you please be quiet? Thank you.
It's great to be here. I think in life in general, we're all creatures of God. We are all equal. There's no difference between any human being, whether you're Jewish, Muslim, Christian, agnostic. We are all human beings of God, and we should all be seeking the truth of what's going on in the Middle East. And that's what these teachers are trying to do, is shed some light. I've been attacked before. They try to attack us up. Your enemy is what you are ignorant towards. Seek knowledge. Seek the truth of what's going on in Palestine and Israel. Seek the truth. This is not being on a Palestinian team or Israeli team. It's about getting to the bottom of the truth. Everybody is mourning here. There is a genocide going on in Gaza with over 35,000 people there. Over 15,000 children. Listen, we can talk. Let's have a dialogue and talk about the facts. What's going on? Jews have lived in Arabian Muslim land for centuries. We can live in peace together. Israel was founded in 1948. My dad is older than the state of Israel. My dad is older than the state of Israel. We can all talk and have dialogue and get educated. Nobody wants to kill the Jews. In fact, you want to kill me because I'm Muslim and I'm Palestinian. Look at how you act. Look at your acting. I can't even speak.
Give a second. Members of the public, everyone in the back. Man in the black t-shirt, please have a seat. This is the Gucci sweatshirt. Can you please have a seat? Thank you. Everyone, please have a seat and be quiet. Everyone, please have a seat and be quiet. Everyone has an opportunity to speak. Please stop interrupting this meeting. Thank you.
My time went, I don't know if I'm ever going to get through this speech, but it took a minute away. It's just getting educated. That's your enemy. We are all equal in God's eyes. Nobody wants to kill the Jews. There's a lot of Jews that stand with Palestine. My people are standing with Palestine. The younger generation, 30 and younger, are starting to be more sympathetic. I urge the council to give people the freedom of speech. That's why we're in the United States, because if I was in occupied Palestine right now, an Israeli soldier would throw me in jail for speaking the truth. He would shoot me and kill me. We are in the land of the free. We're being protected for speaking the truth. There's a genocide going on in Gaza, and you are supporting it, and you're being complicit in it. Let's have an understanding and a dialogue, and that's what they're trying to do in the school. Create dialogue and love. Thank you.
Excuse me, members of the public, there is a line to your left, our right. Excuse me, ma'am, will you please have a seat? There is a line to our right, your left. Thank you. Please wait in line, be respectful of everyone else that have waited patiently. Thank you. Members of the public in the back, can you please have a seat and or be quiet so as not to disrupt this meeting? Thank you. The board is trying to be respectful and mindful of everyone who is assembled and wants to speak. If the meeting keeps on being interrupted, the board will suspend public comment and continue with this business this evening. Thank you. Excuse me, ma'am. Sir, she was not in front of the line. Can you put her in the back of the line, please?
Good evening. Thank you for having me. Thank you for being here. I know it's been a long night, and you guys heard a lot from one side.
What's her name? What's her name?
My name
Could
is-
we please have the speakers, Kristen, identify their address and name?
Excuse me, sir, 1 second. So, members of the public, when you come up to the podium pursuant to board policy, please state your name and your address. Now, many speakers before have not stated their address. So let's be clear, let's be fair for everyone in attendance. Please state your name and your address. Many speakers before did not state their address and no one said anything about that. So going forward, everyone please state your name and your address, and you have 3 minutes. And that being said, may everyone else, whether you agree or disagree, please be quiet. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Bassett Siam, 340 Westview Place. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. I just want to say one thing. I did not intend to go up here and speak, but since the whole audience is voiced on turned one direction, I want you to have the courage to differentiate between intimidation, free speech, and anti-Semitic. This is not anti-Semitic. This is free speech, and if anybody says anything pro-Palestinian, it becomes anti-Semitic. This is what we have to stop right now. So please have the courage to speak and to stand up for the teachers and stand up for what's right. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ronnie Shona, and I live here in Oakley. I live here in Fort Lee, and I want to say that the lies that the Palestinian person said was too much for me to listen to. There was never a Palestinian state. The name Palestine was invented by the Romans 2,000 years ago when they flew the Jews from Judea, and they didn't want them to remember where they have to come back to. Then there was a Palestinian mandate by the British. It was never a country. The UN gave the Palestinians the possibility to create a country several times. The Jews always agreed to the partition, and the Palestinians never agreed to the partition. They wanted everything. When they shout from the river to the sea, they say that Palestine will be free. It means that there will not be a Jewish state. They are calling to kill all the Jews. And this is unacceptable. Yes. Unacceptable. There was never a Palestinian state. They have to show me the border. It never existed. They invented, Yasser Arafat invented them as Palestinians in 1960-something. At the time of the 6 Days War, he invented the name Palestinian, and since then they call themselves the Palestinian. Where did they come from? I'll tell you. In the 1860s, Jews had pogroms in Russia and in Europe. So some young Jews came to Israel to start build the land. There was a lot of work, and it was at that time, it was the Ottoman Empire. And the Ottoman Empire didn't allow any migration into it. So the Baron Hirsch and the Baron Rothschild bought land in the empire. And because they had land which they gave to the people from Russia, that came the Jews that had to escape Russia, they could come to the Ottoman Republic and
Excuse me, ma'am, your time is up. People in the back, please.
I just want you all to know what are the lies that those teachers told you and told the children, because you don't understand.
Excuse me, ma'am, your time is up, thank you.
I understand,
Okay,
it
you
will
have 3
take me,
minutes, your
I'm
time is up,
sorry,
thank you.
it
Can we
will
move on
take.
to the next gentleman's
I
ready to speak, thank you.
understand, I will not let you to stop me.
Thank you, ma'am, you have 3 minutes pursuant to
I
our
know,
policy.
I know,
Your time
I
is up.
thought, I thought one more minute, one more minute.
No, you can't have.
No, I don't care, I don't care. You teach the lies.
One more minute, please pass the microphone to the gentleman to your left, thank you so much, thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, please pass the microphone, stop disrupting the meeting, ma'am. Ma'am, you are disrupting this meeting, would you please give up the microphone so we can proceed, thank you. You were given more than 3 minutes, ma'am, thank you. You were given more than 3 minutes, please, everyone respect the Board of Education, respect the time of the meeting.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ilan Atoka. I'm a resident of Fort Lee, Linwood Avenue, a rabbi in the community for 8 years. And I'm proud to be a member of this community. I moved here with my family because I found this place peaceful, where everyone gets along. And I was shocked when I heard what happened. The fact is, I'm also a teacher, a rabbi is a teacher, and I teach in different schools, and I would like to take also second to say kudos to the students who stood up with courage to say the truth. I looked at this 29 pages that were presented, all false information, from beginning till the end. Something has to be done about it. Someone has to go to the class to educate them of the right information. But besides that, there's something else I would like to share with you. I'm extremely pained by what happened, what was written about Hamas there, and I'll tell you why. Because I lost Ben Mizrahi at 22 years old. Someone who was there in the Nova Festival who was like my son. To wake up and see what lies and hate they spread in class here in Fort Lee is unacceptable, and we will not stand for that. If it means to come back again and again and again, as Jews and non-Jews, doesn't make any difference, for standing for whatever is right for our community, we will do so. And I hope and pray that you, as the Board of Education of this town, will make the right decision and fire those two teachers. They should not be educators. I will add on one thing. Divine Presidents, as I was sitting, one of my congregants sent me a text about a presentation that was made in one of the schools here. And one student, whatever he wrote there, was really mortifying for me. Mortifying for me. Free Palestine. Palestine does not exist, never existed. Look at your facts and make the right decision either tonight or, God willing, very soon. Because I can tell you that all of this crowd here will be looking very carefully at what you will be doing. Thank you very much. Hello, my name is Rabbi Mendel. I'm a local rabbi. I'm here for life. So I look forward to getting to know you well. I'm not moving. So as my...
Sorry, can you just say your address for the record?
Yes, Palisade Avenue, 900 Palisade Avenue. So I'm a local in Fort Lee. I think everyone is saying very powerful points here. One point that I wanted to add, and it may have been said, but I want to reiterate it, which is that this is not a political fight. This is not about Israel. This is not about anyone else. This is very simple. This is our school where we send our kids. This is a safe haven. Politics is great. There are a lot of protests. It's a free country. You can have anything you want. But we have one safe haven for our children. And that is the schools. It's called a public school. No matter what your faith, no matter what your persuasion, no matter what your politics, Republican, Democrat, Trump, Obama, Biden, Israel, Palestine, it's irrelevant. You come together, you learn 1 + 1 = 2. You learn algebra, you learn math, you learn history. You don't learn politics and propaganda. If a teacher came and said, and started pushing political agendas, what if we don't stop this right now, what's stopping the teacher from coming in and telling our students who they should vote for? Vote for Trump, vote for Biden, vote, where's the end? School is a safe haven. We teach history, we teach math, we teach about wholesome, beautiful, generic things that everyone can learn from. As soon as school becomes a place of politics, we have no country left. We have no America left. So that's what this is about. It's not about if the curriculum is true or not true. It's a violation of the code. We trust our teachers. We put money and emphasis and tax dollars into our teachers. We trust them with our children, and we have to respect that trust. And when a teacher violates that trust, they do not have a place in our schools. They have to lose their license. They have to nothing to do. They can go get a job somewhere else. But they cannot have you can't be a banker if you steal money. You can't be a teacher if you indoctrinate children. Thank you.
If you have flags, if you have banners, if you have other large items, can you please go to the back of the room or to the side so you're not blocking other members of the public, irrespective of what flag it is, irrespective of what banner it is. Please do not block other members of the public. So go to the back, go to the side, so you're not disrupting the meeting or in the way. If you have a large camera, just like that news camera was over there, we made them move this way. So please go to the side, to the back, so you're not blocking anyone. Thank you. Gentlemen, I'm talking to you. Gentlemen, can you please go to the side of the room or the back with your flag? Thank you. Thank you. Sir, please have a seat so we can proceed. Thank you. Go ahead.
Back to Patterson.
If the public can sit down so that this woman can begin her comments, please be seated.
Good evening. My name is Ina Siegel. I live on 900 Sixth Avenue. I have 3 school children, although they're not using the Fort Lee public system, they're all in private school. But I am a taxpayer, and I urge you, put politics aside, put any pressure aside, and I urge you to consider the children in that classroom. Do not educate them stuff they don't need to be educated. Leave it to the parents. Parents should be able to educate their children, whatever politically, wherever they stand. It doesn't matter. Please, I urge you, think about the children in those classrooms and what they're learning and what they're hearing. So we don't have October 7th in this country. Don't bring terrorism.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Noam Gabay, and I am a current resident in Fort Lee and a former student at Fort Lee Public School. I went to school number 1 and Lewis Epcol Middle School. The first thing I want to say is there's a fine line between public opinion and indoctrination of children, especially those who are disabled. Over the course of the past few years, I felt this divide in our community, which was one of the main factors that led me to leaving the Fort Lee public education system and moving to a Jewish day school for my high school education. My concern is for future generations, not the people that are in this room, because we all have our own stance on the situation. I already have my stance, which is I believe Israel is a home of the Jewish people, and the Jewish people are entitled to that land. But it's the students in the elementary schools and middle schools who haven't had a fair chance to get their education yet. And indoctrination and false education can lead to divide in our community and riots, and God forbid casualties, instead of trying to push for peace and try to unite everybody. We're all entitled to our own opinions, but where this is presented is the problem. As a public school, Fort Lee has a right to present accurate information from an unbiased source to the students. As I mentioned before, they deserve the right to a fair education. And for all the Palestinians in the building, I'm not here to fault you for exercising your right to free speech. Everyone has a right to their own opinion. But what I will say is, with the US government acknowledging Hamas as a terrorist organization, it's a disservice to the children in our community to teach them otherwise. All I want, and on behalf of the Jewish community, all we want is peace.
Thank you.
Bravo.
Hello, everybody. Gene Sudik, Fort Lee resident. You know, there's a lot here going back and forth. And I know that the Board of Education works very hard on their curriculum. There are presentations that I've sat through and I've watched. I've seen that there are debates about what curriculum goes into these classrooms. I know that there are board meetings that I've attended and other Fort Lee residents attended and debated, you guys, about what curriculum gets presented to the schools, to the teachers that they teach. So the curriculum has to be divided to. You guys drop it down to the teachers to teach. When you go off curriculum, this is what happens. This is what happens when you go off curriculum. You have to enforce your curriculum and ask yourself, how did this slip through? I'm so happy that it got stopped when it did. How did this get through? Hold it accountable of how it got through. And furthermore, make sure you put oversight in place to make sure this and this doesn't happen again. You have to enforce what you guys put forth. We may disagree, and we've disagreed many times on many issues in terms of curriculum. I remember when Ms. Baker was presenting the entire curriculum, there was a PowerPoint presentation, I'm sitting here looking at it, there was people saying one way, people saying another way, and you guys voted, put it together, and said, this is our curriculum that we're teaching. And the teachers have to abide by your curriculum that you guys put forward. When you veer off of your curriculum, which what happened, not good things happen. Okay, everybody's entitled to their views, opinions. We are a very multicultural community here in Fort Lee. And we are peaceful, neighbor to neighbor. I have the United Nations down my street. And we all say hi, and we all worry about the kids crossing the street. And we worry about the cars driving by, if they're going too fast or not too fast. But this, off the curriculum, causes this, what's happening here. This is not Fort Lee. I love this town. Guys, enforce the curriculum. Find out how this got through. Keep it accountable and full oversight to make sure this doesn't happen again. That's it. I mean, there's so much technology. You can put an AI, just go through Google Classroom and flag it. And then it goes to your committee saying, hey, something flagged us, let's look into it. No, this is okay. I understand teachers teach. I love teachers. I was part of the PTA board all the way through school for. And I'm sorry, I guess my time is up, but it's just the teachers do veer off reasonably. And then you have to say, this is an unreasonable veer.
Thanks for your time, sir.
Thank you.
Hello, board. I'm coming here as a student.
Alright, public, please.
I can give my address, but I just saw 3 people come in front of me and none of them said it. But I will still say my address.
Thank you. Your name as well.
Okay. 244.
Members of the public, can you please not disrupt the speaker? Thank you.
Sorry, can you know me, sir?
Sir, this is Commissioner.
Let him talk.
242,
Sir, please stop disrupting the meeting. Members of the public, please stop disrupting the meeting. You may disagree with the speaker, but they have a right to speak, just as you did too. Thank you. Sir, name again, please.
Jad Hart.
Thank you, sir.
And I would like to start by saying, I'm not here.
Can we please stop disrupting the meeting?
Thank you. I would like to start by saying, I do not, wish harm on anybody. I am for peace altogether, as many people here have said. I am also here to say, though, I do feel as if Palestinians are they are not represented in our communities, and it's important to educate students as well on current situations that they are going. On current situations that apply to their lives, they will see in the public. As far as I know, the teachers were very unbiased with it. They did have the Palestinian side, which is they should do it as well as giving an Israeli side. Now, all I've heard here tonight were saying that Palestine is not a state, it's not a place, and just getting rid of, Palestine altogether. And I would like to ask you how that would make a Palestinian student feel. I know that in our, we had a thing at first where on the, after October 7th, they released a thing saying that they are sorry about all the Israeli victims, which they should have, but we were not included in it as well, Palestinians. So I am telling you that these teachers should have the right to educate their students in middle school who are going to be exposed to these, great, public school, on situations that they're going to see on TV, real situations that will concern them, and one day they will have to be ready for it. And ready to go into the world and make their points. There is no hatred being taught. It is things that they will, students have on their phones and could see. So I think it's better coming from an educated person, a teacher, to educate them than coming from propaganda on the phones, either side that may be. So what I'm asking is to take into consideration Palestinian students, Arab students, Muslim students, everybody, and as well, everybody, to form their own decisions through being educated as they're supposed to. What they're going to your school for. This is what, their taxes pay for, to be educated, not to be given one side of a conflict that is clearly happening in the world and will come to their attention at one point or another. So in my opinion, these teachers were just doing their duty as a teacher. Thank you. Thank you all for listening. I love you all. I love you.
Why am I
It doesn't matter. He's allowed to talk. They're allowed to talk too. Okay?
Please quiet down so the speaker may continue.
Hi everybody, my name is Weza Hassan. I live on Horizon Road, Fort Lee. I don't want to give my actual number house because of the vitriol and the toxicity, so I can provide it afterwards. I want to focus on why we're all here today, which is the lesson plan. I'm Palestinian American. And what I've heard today is people deny Palestinians. I've heard people just be dismissive of our lives and our right to live. So I just want to focus on why we're all here. I actually have two cousins who go to Fort Lee High School. I also won't say the grade that they're in, but this is something that I'm telling you has been deeply disturbing and hurtful for them to witness and just to see out here. And I just want to say, if you notice, everybody here, the people who are speaking are only when it's a Palestinian voice. And I think we need to acknowledge that both groups should have the opportunity to speak, and not one is more important than the other. So going quickly to a history class, we all know a history class is probably one of the most important classes we take. It's where we learn our current events, our history, and we're unbiasedly teaching our students about current events in the past history because they will be the leaders of the future. We should not underestimate our teachers who go through years and years of education to educate our students. They do so unbiasedly. And I know these two teachers in this case did go through many different people to get this lesson plan approved. It showed both perspectives, it was unbiased, and it totally...
Come on. Let her talk. Doesn't matter. Stop it.
Truth is the truth. People can call it a lie, but at the end of the day, you guys know it's true. You've spoken to the teachers. You've spoken to
Shut up. I want to hear her, not you.
At the end of the day, I agree that politics shouldn't be in the classroom, but what should be in the classroom is current events, is human rights issues like this. Our students need to learn about what's going on in the world, so when they come out of school, they're better because of it. History class is important. It's where we foster academic integrity, informed citizenship. We want our kids to come out and be participating citizens in our democracy. Cultural sensitivity, oh my gosh, people here need cultural sensitivity and a balanced perspective. Palestinian voices matter, history matters. There are Palestinian American students at that school who feel unsafe. There are Muslim students who feel unsafe. There are Arab students who feel unsafe. And honestly, I feel unsafe. I feel unsafe in this room. I felt unsafe on that line. As somebody who's lived my life, the majority of my life in Fort Lee, I have never felt this way before. So when we're talking about what we want to do next, it's important that we consider all perspectives. It's important that we educate our students who are going to be the leaders of tomorrow. And I know directly from students there that the teachers who have this approved lesson plans were so conscious and meticulous about making sure that the students in that room were comfortable. They multiple times before they had this lesson plan told the students to let them know they feel uncomfortable. And most of all, I hope you listen to Palestinians. I hope you listen to all perspectives and free Palestine.
Into the microphone, thank you.
Hi, my name is Galip Pansat. I'm from the Fort Lee area, lived here most of my life, went through the school system. Is this working? Okay. I live on Lafayette Avenue in Cliffside Park. If you need my exact address, I'll give it to you afterwards. I'm here just to respond to the last two speakers. I'd like to just say in summary, not just about this conflict, but in general, we're all products of our environment, the information we take in. And I had some conversations with people that are pro-Palestinian just earlier, and clearly some are caring, peaceful, peace-loving, some are agitators. They asked me if I cared about the death of the Palestinians and denied it. And I said, I do care, and just cut off just agitators. Either way, information is not agreed upon. History, facts are not agreed upon. And that's critical. So, the woman just here feels strongly that Palestinians are not given their true voice. We feel what the presentation said was very warped, very out of context, some of it just factually not true. So that's the key here. The key is who's gonna decide what is the true history? Who's gonna decide what's critical information to put in context, okay? Because I do believe the Palestinians, feel very strongly, based on what they know, to be the truth. And a lot of the people here feel the exact opposite. And she feels unsafe. Do you know how many pro-Israeli Jewish people feel unsafe? To the point that they're not hurling huge Israeli flags in their hometown because there's a stereotype that most pro-Palestinians are not peaceful, just based on recent protests and actions. So we're not insensitive, we want everyone, but right now, the balance is tilted against the Jewish because the protesters don't have a reputation for attacking people who don't agree with them. And that's all I want to say. I think the core issue here is what is the truth.
I feel stupid. Keith Goslin, 2185 Lemoyne Avenue. I feel stupid even getting up here to talk about this subject, but I'm here every month, unlike everybody here tonight. But we have a CPAG meeting coming up. That's the Special Education Parents Advisory Group. We're meeting on June 12th at 7:30, and we're electing our leaders for the first time in Fort Lee's public school district that I know of. So I just wanted to announce that, as I do almost every month. I'm trying to raise awareness, trying to get all the special education parents in town involved in the CPAG so their voice can be heard. That's it for the CPAG stuff. So if you know anybody who has a special needs student in the area, they have voting power in this election, but anybody has the right to attend the CPAG meeting with us. With that being said, I feel sad for what's going on, and I feel sorry for everybody. I want to thank the Fort Lee PD and the school. And they're always here keeping us safe, not just at these events, but at all our community events. So thank you all.
Okay, we are going to our online virtual commenters now. Mr. Ruggiero?
Yes. iPhone, you've been promoted to panelist. Please unmute your microphone and feel free to share your video. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes. All right, moving on. Kashe Kesha, you've been promoted to panelist. Please unmute your microphone and feel free to share your video. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes. Kahe Kesha, you're muted.
Yes, good evening. Thank you. My name is Taya or Sarah. I'm 484 Main Street. Do you hear me all very well?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. 484 Main Street, Fort Lee, New Jersey. I am a Muslim woman and I am proud of it. I'm pro-Palestinian and I'm proud of standing on the right side of the history. All I hear tonight is hearsay from different people. What happened to that class? I think we should let the investigators do their investigations and figure out what really was said to those children or to those students. I think that we should ask the parents beforehand of we're having a topic of genocide. We should have been emailed stuff and we should have given our suggestions and we should have had discussions before these teachers came to the conclusion to give these students whatever they were given. But that's what happens when we are not asked and they take over. Now, I don't know what to say because it's a bubble of air and I don't know what happened to that class, but if it was said what it's supposedly they're allegating, then the teachers should not be fired, but they should be suspended temporarily and undergo corrective therapy by unbiased professionals, and they should be allowed to teach again if the therapist approves that. Now, as far as for the other stuff, I think, how did it get to Hamas? And it's because we have allowed things to go so far. What with Muslims, we want peace. We are in this war against this massive genocide, human destructions, ethnic cleansing, side by side with Christians and the Jews who are saying not in our name. So this entire Zionist elite came up and they're pretending they're Jew. They're from everywhere of the world. They are the most aggressive, devil-worshipping society that is trying to unfairly take over this planet. They are the ones who brought communism, who destroyed three-quarters of the planet. They are the ones who came up with AIPAC. AIPAC is the American-Israeli Public Affairs Committee, with controlling the
IT, can you please mute the speaker? Thank you. So in accordance with board policy that was cited earlier, the board will not entertain, and this is board policy for those who are interested, 0167, subsection 3, the board will not entertain any comments from persons who communicate obscene material, make statements which are considered bias and intimidation, which a person intends to intimidate any individual or group because of race, color, religion, gender, handicap, sexual orientation, or ethnicity, or makes comments intending to harass or speak any offensive language. The person who makes these statements will relinquish. They are allotted 3 minutes for public discussion. Ma'am, your time is relinquished. Let's move to the next speaker, please. Thank you.
Lisa Hassan, you've been promoted to panelist. Please unmute your microphone and feel free to share your video. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes. Lisa Hassan. She declined to be promoted. Erin's iPhone. Erin's iPhone, you've been promoted to panelist. Please unmute your microphone and feel free to share your video. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes. Erin's iPhone. Erin, you have to unmute yourself. All right, moving on. Aaron, if you still want to speak, just raise your hand again. Mike Asso, you've been promoted to panelist. Please unmute your microphone and feel free to share your video. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes. Mike Asso. Mike Asso, you're muted.
Hi, everyone. It's watching this all night, and it's kind of sad, and I just want to say something to everybody. Can everybody hear me?
Yeah, just state your name and address for the record.
Mike Gosso, 230 Warren Avenue, Fort Lee. It's there's moments in time when a community like ours, that's a melting pot of diversity, has these kind of moments, and it comes particularly from outsiders, teachers that have intentions, that have motives, and create actions. So we have to look at what happened. If it's all what says is true, that this subject was not approved curriculum, well, that's a problem. 2, taking the phones away, problem. Telling children or students to leave the room, where would they go? So these 2 teachers acted rogue in reality. And in the concept of what's going on in this town, this is the reaction to their actions that separates a very loving and caring community of diverse people. Understand one thing, I'm going to keep it very, very short. We can all talk about anti-Semitism and everything else, but one thing is factually true. Hamas, and you can watch all the protests that goes on in these college universities, in the streets of New York, Michigan, California, all these pro-Hamas protests wish death to America. That alone should just send you all up into a position to fire these 2 teachers. We cannot be teaching this kind of propaganda, because in actuality, Hamas protesters are preaching death to our country. I leave it all up to you. And you guys got a tough spot. And I just want to say to everybody in there, these Board of Ed members are listening, and they're very in tune to this community. So take it easy on them. And our superintendent, same thing. And I hope the only thing that we can all now look at is the reaction to these actions. And the reaction, it will be the decision of our board members, what the fate of these 2 teachers are. And if there's anyone outside the 2 teachers that were involved. That's all we ask. Peace, but just remember, Hamas protesters wish death to this country. Peace.
Lisa Hassan, you've been promoted to panelist. Please unmute your microphone and feel free to share your video. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes. Lisa?
Good evening, all. I just understand all the frustration in that room by the Zion parents. My name is Lisa. I'm a Bergen County resident for over 30 years. And Bergen County has been known for its diversity and peacefulness, but over the years, it's been changing, and there's been a rise of Zionism. I am a granddaughter of a NECMA survivor, and we learned about the Holocaust in our public school. And these are world history teachers, and they're just teaching the children facts. And you, Board of Education, people, the facts are laid out in front of you. These parents are here because they are angry that their children are asking them questions because they've been brainwashed. And now that they're at the age to understand facts, the websites that were used to tell these facts to these children were certified websites, reliable websites. Every time a pro-Palestinian talks, this is pro-humanity. How dare you say we don't exist? We are Palestinian. We are all Palestinians. There is a genocide happening, and shame on every single person in that room that denies this ongoing genocide. How dare you? You lived about beheaded babies and rape, and your IOS soldiers are doing that rape. But we're not talking about that in the classroom. That would be bringing in unnecessary information to the children. And shame on those people in the front row and the lady with the flag that's waving it. What do those two lines mean? That means death and demolition of all Palestinians. Okay? Not from the river to the sea. From the river to the sea is a cry for freedom and justice for all, what America stands for, what America prides itself on. And the Americans are in the streets saying no more tax dollars for genocide. Enough killing. Support our people here in America. And for you who said that Palestine didn't exist, I remind you, Golda Meir, look her up. She had a Palestinian passport, as much as all your Holocaust survivors that made it to Palestine when we opened our doors for you, when you were massacred, and now you're committing it again. These teachers did nothing wrong but help educate your children in a world history class. So stop with the fear mongering. Stop threatening the Board of Education, Board of Directors here. We're watching. We are all eyes on Russia and where our tax dollars are going. And these children need to know. And shame on every one of you for attacking the children who came up to speak for pro-humanity, pro-Palestinian, free Palestine.
3 minutes are up. Thank you. Jason Martinez.
Vicky Matuliewicz, you've been promoted to panelist. Please unmute your microphone and feel free to share your video. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes. I think we lost Vicky. iPhone 13, you've been promoted to panelist. Please unmute your microphone and feel free to share your video. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes.
Hi, my name is Nima. I'm a Bergen County resident. And I just wanted to come here today to talk about how multiple people have been talking about how Jewish students are feeling singled out. But I have multiple cousins in the Fort Lee school system who are Palestinian, who are experiencing extreme harassment and bullying and feel unrepresented in the system. I've also seen multiple people talking about the definition explained of Hamas and its inaccuracy in the presentation. But by the UN, Hamas is referred to as a militant organization and a terrorist organization. And since when should we be taught in history classes biases, especially in a world history class? But do you know who else was seen as a terrorist organization by British mandate, as well as the United States? The Irgun Organization, which was part of a group of Zionists who founded Israel. And if we learn about one, we should learn about both. Furthermore, since I've seen many people discussing their bias of Palestinian history, and constantly bringing up October the 7th, let's dive deeper. There was the Haifa massacre, Yahida massacre, Gaza massacre, Beit Daris massacre, Qassim massacre, Gibeah massacre, Aqsa massacre, Tantura massacre, Dawayam massacre, famously known for the way Zionist militias killed children by fracturing their skulls, and so much more, which all took place before Hamas, before the 6-Day War, and before any land was offered to Palestinians. This, my friends, is Palestinian history. The story of colonialism and valuing profit over people, excused by using atrocity propaganda. The same history that you are trying to cover it up. But we, as their children, won't forget. And as the previous speaker stated, Fort Lee Board of Education, eyes are on you. And this meeting will be in history books, along with how you have the choice to censor the starvation and mutilation of the Gazan population, as well as multiple views on Middle Eastern history. I think instead of firing these teachers, We should learn more than one perspective, and we should applaud them for giving more than one type of demographic of Fort Lee High School students a voice, which is a reality constantly unavailable. We should remember that America is a land for all, not just for people who stand for Israel. Thank you.
All right, just bear with me. Vital Lavari, you've been promoted to panelist. Please unmute your microphone and feel free to share your video. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes. Vital Lavari. Vital, you have to accept being promoted to panelist. Okay, Jennifer Reuter, you've been promoted to panelist. Please unmute your microphone and feel free to share your video. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes. Jennifer Reuter, you're muted. Please unmute your microphone and feel free to share your video.
Yes, can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay, great. This is Nick with 501 Linwood Drive. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to know today we all talk about the future of the students and everything. Everyone is thinking and debating of what is wrong and right, but we are forgetting the future of the Jewish people. Lately, U.S. is one of the very few countries when you can see really Jewish people walking around outside wearing yarmulke, hats, and not being bothered. That's unfortunately not happening in most of the countries, in Europe countries and other countries. The reason for that is because the other side is not training them to be like us, normal human being. What you've seen today, you're not going to see in the other side. Few Palestinian coming over in a bunch of group of Jewish and stand for their rights. It's unlikely to happen the other way around. I doubt if you're going to see any Jewish people going in a group of Palestine and trying to do the same without being hurt. This other side is only training their kids to hate, not to love, not to respect. I'm talking the majority of them. And the future can be a bad environment, not only for Jews, but for Christians and the good Muslims among them. So it's going to be a bad environment. Just keep that in mind. It's not about education only. Let's not forget how Hitler started everything. By brainwash, by propaganda, by hate, by fear. That's how we started. And we don't want that to happen by brainwash kids on things that they're not supposed to hear and know. That's all.
Abu Ali, you've been promoted to panelist. Please unmute your microphone and feel free to share your video. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes.
Hi, this is Mike Abu Ali. I'm really disturbed what I'm hearing from the folks in the room that have made comments so far.
Can you please just state your name and address for the record?
Mike Abu Ali from, I don't want to give my full address, but from Anderson Road in Fort Lee. I'm very disturbed by some of the comments that I'm hearing there. There's so much racism on display, especially directed at the pro-Palestinian people, and then simply denying an entire people's existence. Simply saying that Palestine never existed, there's no such thing as Palestine, when it's clear evidence that Palestine existed, it was on the map, it became erased and replaced with something called Israel. And that is a fact. And people there don't want you to believe that. This is just an effort to bully the Board of Education, to silence any criticism of Israel, and to paint it as some sort of anti-Semitism. This is not about anti-Semitism. This is about justice. It's about our people's right to exist. And right now, open up any map, you'll find Israel. What you don't find is Palestine, which was there before Israel. Israel as a nation did not exist until 1948. That's a fact. They just celebrated their 75th year. They did not exist before that. And the people that established it were white European Jewish people that came from Europe. They were not indigenous to the land. They came and replaced the people that were there. They created something called the Nakba, which was a catastrophe that pushed out 750,000 ethnic Arabs and Palestinians and pushed them into places like what is Gaza now. And the people there in Gaza that are all trapped in an open air prison are now being bombarded by one of the most powerful armies in the world. And a genocide is taking place. The people that are there that are cheerleading this, they're cheerleading genocide, ethnic cleansing, and shame that every time a Palestinian stands up or an Arab stands up to speak out, that they try to boo them, they try to shut them down, drown them out. And to say that the protesters in the streets, pro-Palestinian protesters or at college campuses are somehow chanting pro-Hamas and death to America, those are lies. Do not cave in to the fear-mongering, respect freedom of speech, and don't allow parents who are completely biased and racist acting and behaving as if they're the Ku Klux Klan. If the Ku Klux Klan came there and said, black people should not exist, do not let them teach, you would not entertain that. Don't let hate win. The hate that's on display in this room today is coming from the pro-Israel side. Do not cave into it and allow teachers to be able to have these conversations with students. Teaching history and what happened, especially genocide, is not political, it's history. Thank you.
Julie Kordonic, you've been promoted to panelist. Please unmute your microphone and feel free to share your video. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes. Julie Kordonic.
Hi, Julie Kordonic, Teaneck, New Jersey. I just want to say for the record that there is the United States considers Hamas a terrorist organization. It absolutely should not be in question as to how Hamas should be portrayed. And I believe that that is really the crux of the issue with the presentation by the social studies teachers. So I'm not sure why there's any kind of discussion about anything beyond that. That is the crux of the issue. It needs to be changed. I don't know what punishment should be given out to these teachers. I don't know if they should be if they should have a suspension, if they should be fired. That's not up to me. That's up to the school board, and I'm sure in their infinite wisdom they will decide the right thing. I also just want to say that the pro-Hamas voices tonight did not disappoint. They will lie, cheat, and steal in furtherance of jihad. They will come on here and make up allegations about Jewish students bullying Palestinian students. They will make up allegations about that there was never any country called Israel, that Palestinians are native to the land, and Golda Meir was a Palestinian. That's ridiculous. She's on video herself saying, of course, she had a Palestinian passport. The country was called Palestine. But the Palestinians, or the ones who call themselves Palestinians today, are not the same Palestinians from when the Palestine of yesteryear, which was the British Mandate, was the name of the country. So yes, there was the Palestinian citizenship that Golda Meir had. However, it is not at all what previous callers are claiming that it was. So just if you're prepared to completely ignore history, distort facts, et cetera, you can absolutely say whatever you want. And, unfortunately, that we see that again and again at all of these local town meetings, whenever there's an issue with anti-Semitism, with violent marches, with calls from the river to the sea, with blatant anti-Semitism, we see this again and again. So just, this is what we're dealing with. To anybody who's listening, who wants to take anything at face value that pro-Hamas supporters are saying, you might want to think twice about that, and instead look to your own government, which classifies Hamas as a terrorist organization. Again, that's really the crux of the issue. It shouldn't even go beyond that. There shouldn't even be a discussion. Everything else is meaningless in the context of what's happened at Fort Lee. And hopefully, that will be the basis on which any decision stemming from, any decision that is, about, what's going to happen to these teachers, any decision will be made based on that, that specific lesson plan, and not based on how a bunch of pro-Hamas students feel about whether Israel should exist or should not exist. Thank you very much.
Mihail, you've been promoted to panelist. Please unmute your microphone and feel free to share your video. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes. Mihail?
Hi, Mihail, Tom Hunter Road for Lee. So on my end, I didn't really know what the meeting was about today. I only looked over the notes that were published. And one thing that I noticed was that one of the things that got approved was the new manuals for math, right? So one of the things that I'd like to share the screen, but I see that's not possible. So I guess it doesn't work. So the company that you guys purchased the manuals from is a company called Sav's Learning Company, right? And the name stuck to me because it popped up in New York Times as one of the banned companies in Florida, and in New York Times, they have a lengthy article written about chapters that are not okay with other states' Board of Education curriculums, and they plainly, illustrate lessons where you have pure ideology inserted into math, something like he is doing this and he is a certain type of character. And what do you think about the situation in question? So my thought would be, would we as parents expect this from being in our kids' curriculum going forward, especially for first grade? Second of all, would we be notified? And I mean, if math is politically injected with ideology, I mean, small wonder that we have the mess that we have with what's happening in social sciences nowadays, right? I mean, I'm expecting there to be even more conversation on topics that people might not agree with, or they might have opinions about it. So, I mean, the question is, how would we be notified about this kind of issues? And the second thing is, probably we're going to have more conversations of more of the same in the future by the looks of it, because everything has to be political, including math. That's all.
Milak, you've been promoted to panelist. Please unmute your microphone and feel free to share your video. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I think everyone that has spoken has really summarized the Palestinian experience in Fort Lee. Also, just want to emphasize, I live on Kingsland. I don't feel comfortable giving my full address. Anyways, I think the person that spoke previously, labeling the pro-Palestinian speakers or just people sharing their experience in Teaneck as pro-Hamas sympathizers really speaks to the anti-Arab sentiment in Fort Lee. I think it really highlights the struggle that a lot of people of color particularly face in Fort Lee. And she's from Teaneck, right? So that there's no surprise there. Teaneck and Fort Lee are notorious for just really perpetrating harmful stereotypes towards people of color. And I would really advise the Board of Education of Fort Lee, other Fort Lee residents, to stand with Palestine, stand on the right side of history. It's not too long ago that segregation was acceptable, that the Holocaust was acceptable, that all these things were normal. And you don't want to be on the wrong side of that. Genocide is wrong. Doesn't matter who's dying, doesn't matter what religion, what race. It's children and women and men dying by the thousands. And the fact that anyone could sit there and excuse that is just beyond me. And I would really
advise everyone to check their Islamophobia, because that is obviously very rampant in that room. And I would really advise everyone to check their unchecked biases, their undertones of just racism and Islamophobia. The propaganda apparently goes very hard over there, but it's not going to work. And I think that's what everyone kind of needs to realize is in this generation is awake. We are here. We see with our own eyes. It's not like it was 30 years ago where you'll see the pictures later. We see those videos, we see those pictures now. And you don't want to be on the wrong side of that, because when this generation wakes up, you will see the change that comes about. And we will look to our parents, we will look to our teachers and ask, where were you? What did you say? What did you try to make us believe? And I think that's what the parents in Fort Lee feel so threatened about, especially those Zionists. They don't want their children to learn or hear anything outside of the propaganda that they want to share with them. So shame on all those Zionists. I hope you have a change of heart. I hope you can have some empathy in your heart for the women and the children and the men that are dying by the thousands because you want to spread your propaganda. That's all I have to say. Free Palestine.
S, you've been promoted to panelist. Please unmute your microphone and feel free to share your video. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes. S.
Hi, can everyone hear me?
Yes. Please
Okay.
state your name and address for the record.
My name is Lynn, and I live on 12th Street, Fort Lee. I'm a student at Fort Lee High School, and I know people who were in the classroom that this lesson was taught in. I think that this is rampant Islamophobia because the people in that room right now, I'm seriously appalled at the lack of empathy that is being shown towards the Palestinian people. And I don't think that they should be labeled as anti-Semitic or against the Jewish people for speaking the truth. Thank you.
Sherry Montalto, you've been promoted to panelist. Please unmute your microphone and feel free to share your video. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes. Sherry Montalto.
Do you want the video?
Hello, yeah.
Hi.
Yes,
Hello,
please
how are
state your
you?
name and address for the record.
My name is David. I'm on 12th Street in Fort Lee.
Thank you.
So all I gotta say is, to me, it is illegal in the state of New Jersey to promote your political views to any of the students. So therefore, these teachers are violating the law by stating their political views to the students of New Jersey. I feel it necessary that you should fire these students, these teachers immediately, because they are promoting their political views to the students, which is illegal in the state of New Jersey. That's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Alma, you've been promoted to panelist. Please unmute your microphone and feel free to share your video. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes. Alma?
There's 19 raised.
Alma, you're muted. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes. Alma?
Hello, can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
All right. My name is Leslie. I am a Fort Lee resident. I am currently a student at Fort Lee High School. Me, myself, do not feel safe with you guys screaming and threatening our teachers and counselors. The guy who got hated on and who spoke up did not feel safe. And you guys are talking about not feeling safe. You guys are provoking this. You should not be talking about safety. I was in the class when Ms. Balgahum presented the lesson plan on the Israel-Palestinian conflict. And I have to disagree with the article's portrayal of the situation because there's two articles in like online that you guys like people have posted. While I understand that some people may have concerns about the content, I think Ms. Bagahum did a good job of presenting both sides of the issues and encouraging us to think critically about the topic. She emphasized that even though she personally identifies as Muslim, she would make sure that both sides are represented equally, which I appreciate. I don't think the article accurately captures the tone of the classroom discussion, and I think it's unfair to criticize Ms. Bagahum without fully understanding the context of the lesson. Overall, I found the lesson to be informative and thought-provoking, and I appreciate it. You guys are misleading this information and twisting up Ms. Balgahum's words. Before she started the class, she said, if at any moment you feel uncomfortable, you have the right to leave the room. She said that to everyone, and this is not the first time she said it. She said it to other topics she's taught before. Along with her saying that if you make any negative comments about either side, you will be sent down to the principal's office. This is not the first time Ms. B has confiscated phones. Like she does this just like any other teacher would because it's a school policy. No phones in class or walking with cell phones in the hallways. Everything on the two articles that were just posted are misleading. None of you guys were in the class when the lesson happened. You guys only know what the articles are feeding you. Shame on you guys for commenting on every post, deport them, fire them, and then calling her bad things. Justice for my teachers. The most disgusting comment I saw was a comment where it says, shame on Fort Lee for hiring a Muslim to teach our American children. They said that no teacher with a scarf around their head should be teaching our American students. Not everyone in Fort Lee High School is American. You guys aren't standing up for what you think is right. Instead, you are using this as an excuse to fuel your racism and prejudice towards Muslim. Shame on all of you guys for not being mature enough and taking this serious matter as grown adults, and the fact that you guys are booing and screaming at Palestinians is proving me more that you guys are immature to handle the situation the correct way. That's it. Thank you.
Zoom user, you've been promoted to panelist. Please unmute your microphone and feel free to share your video. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, Erin McCoy, 555 North Avenue, for 22H. I want to thank the student who just spoke. I appreciate hearing what happened in the classroom. As a parent, I've been trying to find out that information. I also want to thank the board tonight for giving us their time and their concern. This is a long meeting. They are volunteers. I hope everybody remembers that. And personally, I felt that the presentation, the part of it that I saw posted, did contain a lot of misinformation and material omission, but I appreciate the student in the classroom suggesting that other viewpoints were presented. I also say, I don't think that we're here tonight to debate the curriculum. And I think that's the problem that's being lost. Fort Lee has, I would assume we have a partnership between parents. I have children in the system. So it's a partnership between parents, the administration, the teachers, and the students. And we have means of communicating with each other. There's back to school night. There are forums when you're going to do a hot button topic where parents give permission. And while I appreciate that maybe collecting phones is part of the policy and allowing students to leave is also part of the policy, I would hope that there are systems in place on how we deal with hot button topics, especially the current panel of the board was elected with transparency and communication at the center of their campaign. And so again, I want to say it's not about whether you're pro or for, because this could have been Gaza, Palestine, Israel. It could have been Ukraine and Russia. It could be sex ed. It could be Christianity and gay rights. It could be pro-choice or anti-abortion. But we have to have a system for agreeing, and we're not going to agree on everything that's taught to our kids. We're going to debate it. We're going to discuss it. But there's a forum for doing that. I have to imagine, and I have to imagine that there are procedures for this. And we wouldn't be here tonight. I feel very strongly we would not be here tonight having this kind of disagreement in our community if these teachers had followed proper procedure. Because by virtue of the fact that the parents are outraged, it means there wasn't the right communication. And parents do have a voice in this stuff. It's not just about teachers in a fiefdom presenting their own opinions or even what they think should be taught. There's a process. And I just think, I hope the board takes it seriously, because that's the way to keep ourselves, is if we follow fair rules for everybody and debate it together. Thank you. Thank you for
iPhone 141, you've been promoted to panelist. Please unmute your microphone and feel free to share your video. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes.
Hi, how are you? My name's Renata. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm from Edgewater, and I'm a Jewish mom to 3 kids, the 3 boys, from Bergen County. And the concerns here that we're all not meeting and not addressing is the fact that every mom, whether you're Palestinian, you're Jewish, Christian, it doesn't matter who we are, we all care about our kids. And even though this is a very high energy topic and everyone there is upset, I think we need to get back to the reality of the representation for our children. Are we discussing it with the parents? Are we making sure that the people that we're hiring in schools know protocol and follow that protocol? I don't want to speak about politics because I don't think that really is the core of this discussion. The core of this discussion is the safety of all children in our school system, whether they're Palestinian or they're from anywhere else. It doesn't apply to just Jewish students. But safety should be Fort Lee's utmost priority. I think that you guys have a really hard decision to make, but you should consider really ensuring that lesson plans are well reviewed and that children are safe in your schools. Good luck.
You. Christian Ramirez, you've been promoted to panelist. Please unmute your microphone and feel free to share your video. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes. Christian Ramirez.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yes, please state your name and address.
My name is Christian Ramirez. I live in Westgate. I don't want to give my full address as I feel uncomfortable, but I want to say as a former student in Fort Lee High School, I find it kind of insulting how these adults, right? Everyone in that room was mostly over 21, at least the Israeli side. They were acting very immaturely. Me, as a former Fort Lee High School student in Miss B's classroom, I can testify to her character. She is a good woman. She's kind. She's always fair. And I find it very disrespectful how there was even a woman in the audience screaming at the Palestinians standing up there. That is not correct. I don't think any adult should conduct themselves that way. I feel like that was very misconduct, and it says it. Resilience group, armed resilience group. If you search up the definition of resilience, it's a group that is unsettling the government, which is exactly what Hamas is doing. But that's not the point. The point is that this was very misconduct. It was very disrespectful. As a former Fort Lee High School student, I'm not here to say what side is right and what side is wrong. It's just the way we handle ourselves. America was born on democracy and freedom of opinion, and it feels like everybody that is against the Israeli side is being silenced. They're being silenced, and I am not against Israel or Palestine. It doesn't matter. It's just the fact that it doesn't seem that we can handle a conversation as adults. It seems that it's immaturely there's this woman screaming, not handing the mic. It's just, come on now. I understand everyone has emotions and everyone feels the need to represent their side. But it's like, how can we not handle this maturely? It's like Leslie said. It's not correct. Everyone is giving opinion on taking away the phone. I can name multiple teachers that take away the phone on the daily. Every history teacher, there's some history teachers in that school that have days dedicated to what's going on in the news. There's other things going on in the high school that is more important than Ms. B and her slides. How there are security guards scanning your children's thing to go into the public bathroom. If you don't appreciate what your kid is learning in public education, then you can kindly take them out. And if you can't take them out, then again, vote for your Board of Education. This is incorrect. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Serrano, you've been promoted to panelist. Please unmute your microphone and feel free to share your video. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes. Serrano? Serrano, you're muted.
Unmute. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to speak.
Please state your name and address for the record.
I'm sorry. It's Mary Serrano in Mount Olive.
Thank you.
And I wanted to speak as an educator. That as an educator, I feel it's very important never to allow students to know what political side you are on, because you want the students to develop their own critical thinking. But it's also very important to present to students accurate information and both sides of the information, and use verifiable sources that are available to view. And it's very important as well in order to teach the children how to decipher between verifiable sources, especially in this day and age with a lot of propaganda and false information presented on the internet and social media. So my objection to what had occurred, and I did read through the slides, is some of the information that's presented. And to those that are stating that people don't care about the Palestinians or the Arabs, I think it's very clear by stating that Hamas is a terrorist organization. It is showing that people do care about the Gazan people, in which Hamas has been also oppressing and abusing their own citizens. And I'd like to leave it like that. And since people are mentioning some loaded words that have been stated by different panelists presented, I've heard various different accusations of calling people racists, calling them white racists. And I would also like to remind people as well that someone else is here identifying the Jewish people as also white people, and many people don't identify as that as well. So when we want to speak about inclusivity, it's very important not for others to accuse people of racism and such not, by at the same time using those loaded words as well. I think that the Board of Education needs to preview such lessons, and I do think that other presentations need to be presented to the students in a more non-biased fashion with verifiable sources so that they can identify the accuracy of them as well. That's all. Thank you.
Eli Katz, you've been promoted to panelist. Please unmute your microphone and feel free to share your video. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes. Eli Katz.
Hi, my name is Ellie Katz. I live here in Teaneck, New Jersey. Good evening, and thank you, board members, Fort Lee PD, Jason, and thank you for spending your evening with us. The discussion this evening shouldn't be around the Israel-Palestine conflict. It shouldn't be around ethnic cleansing versus genocide, any propaganda, the Middle Eastern conflict, or anything else, nor will I address my own personal stance on the matter. The discussion at hand should simply be based on the merits of what is or isn't allowed in the classroom. Lesson plans are more than just daily guides for classroom instruction. They reflect the educational standards and objectives set forth by educational authorities. When teachers create lesson plans without board approval, there is a risk of deviating from these standards, potentially leading to inconsistencies in the quality and content of education provided to students. This can negatively impact the trust and relationship built in the classroom and between a student and teacher, and more importantly, can result in legal complications if the educational outcomes do not meet state or national requirements. In addition, in today's diverse educational environment, it is essential that lesson plans are free from bias and discrimination. Failing to do so can lead to legal actions from parents who may feel that their child's right to an equitable education has been compromised. Is the confiscation and stealing of a student's phone allowable behavior? Is it the decision of this board to set precedent by allowing a teacher to change the lesson plan based on their own personal bias without board oversight? Were the students told to leave class and according to a student on multiple occasions? Did the teachers knowingly act in bad faith and go rogue? Liability, risk, that is the discussion this board should be having this evening. Those are the facts that you should be weighing. Thank you and good evening.
Angelique, you've been promoted to panelist. Please unmute your microphone and feel free to share your video. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes. Angelique? All right, we lost Angelique. She declined the promotion to panelist. Daniel Martino, you've been promoted to panelist. Please unmute your microphone and feel free to share your video. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes.
Hi, my name is Daniel. I live in Med North. A lot of people have spoken in this meeting today, and the main concern that I have heard repeatedly is that there was an extreme case of omission in this presentation. And honestly, I agree, a lot was omitted. It would be impossible in one lesson to explore the depths of the innumerable war crimes, decades of oppression, infrastructural and political sabotage, and ongoing genocide of the Palestinian people. The leniency in this presentation in showcasing the extreme racism, violence, and terror that Zionism has brought upon Palestine showed immense grace and fairness with regards to both Israel and America's continued expansive support of Israel. I hope you all keep this in mind when continuing with the ongoing investigation into bias. Nuanced and extremely scathing critiques of Israel and its allied nations are readily available for those willing to learn, and this presentation was not one of those. It is concerning that this mundane retelling, in light of the atrocities committed, has garnered this amount of backlash, and I fear for what dissenters would consider to be an appropriate presentation. Thank you.
Maor Shazo, you've been promoted to panelist. Please unmute your microphone and feel free to share your video. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes.
Yo, hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes, please state your name and address for the record.
Hi, I'm Maor. I'm from Fort Lee, New Jersey. Raised my entire life in Fort Lee. And I just want to say one thing. All the people who coming over here and spreading their propaganda, their pro-Islamist, pro-Marxist propaganda, I just want to state one thing. The Jews were never accepted in the region. The Jews were murdered in 1929 at the Hebron massacre. The Ajamin al-Husseini, the so-called leader of the Arabs in the region, went to Iraq to spread Nazi Islamist propaganda and he caused the Farhud. He went to meet Hitler. He went to do all those little things that you guys love. Now, besides all this stuff that has begun since the 7th century, where they murdered Jews in Medina and they took their women as sex slaves, where they went and they killed Jews in other villages and took their women as sex slaves. Besides all this stuff, besides the expulsion of the Jews from the Arabian Peninsula and the forced dhimmihood in every country that they lived in and the murder of 4,000 Jews in Grenada, I just want to say one thing. This radical ideology that you guys allowed in our schools, this unholy matrimony of Marxism, of Islamism, has gotten to a point where we had enough. The entire country is facing this problem. Children are being radicalized in their institutions. Un-American ideologies are being spread. You want to know what I think? I think you guys should fire them, and you should show the entire country, not only the residents of Fort Lee, but the entire country, that we don't stand for radical Islamism. We do not stand for Marxism, and we do not stand for using schools as indoctrination camps. And one more thing, and I'll end off with this. This is pure anti-Semitism. To call Hamas a resistance movement is to give them a very light name. They promote the ideas that Jews are the worst of creatures, that you shouldn't take Christians and Jews as allies because they're allies of one another. They promote ideas of that Jews will one day hide behind rocks and trees, and then the trees will yell, oh Muslim, there's a Jew behind me, come and kill him. That's not a resistance movement. That's a genocide movement. And this is what this teacher wants to call a resistance movement, to trick kids into thinking that these aren't bad people. Show the world that America does not stand with this extremism. That's it. God bless America, and I'm Islam.
Michael, you've been promoted to panelist. Please unmute your microphone and feel free to share your video. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes. Michael?
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Please state your name and address for the record.
Michael, and I live on Edgewood Lane in Fort Lee. I just want to say that I didn't, obviously I wasn't in the classroom. I looked through the presentation and it seemed a bit one-sided. This is a highly debated topic and should not be presented in such a way where, for example, just give you an example. The presentation mentioned that 1948 was a Nakba for Palestinians, which is understandable, and then Independence Day for the Jews. But then it talks about how 750,000 Palestinians were displaced, but no mention of 3 countries attacking Israel on the day of independence: Syria, Jordan, and Egypt. And I'm in agreement with that teacher, Ms. Serrano, that said that it should be taught, you should give both sides because it's a highly contested subject. But the presentation was a little one-sided, and I'm also against, I mean, I understand one group's freedom fighter is another group's terrorist, but you should mention that your country, the United States, considers Hamas a terrorist organization. I think you should know this. The problem also is that these are 15-year-old students. They don't really know anything about this, and they cannot debate the teacher about this. They have to sit there and listen. It's not like in college where you can debate your professor. You know what I mean? So that's pretty much, so I thought, and when you, even though I'm not completely in agreement with what Israel does, but I think that, you have to be very careful when you talk badly about Jewish people, because of the history behind the 1,000 years of hatred against Jews for just being Jews. Okay, and yes, some people will understand that this is criticism of Israel, but others will not understand. They'll just be, it's all Jews, and let's go down on them. So that's why I think that was a little bit reckless what the teachers did. It probably should have been brought up and should have been maybe presented in both ways, or maybe have a debate about it. When I was in high school, I didn't go to Fort Lee High School. I went to Richfield Park. We had a debate about atomic bomb and what was right and who was wrong. These are the things that should probably be done. Anyway, that's all I have to say about them. Thank you.
Ms. Hassan, you've been promoted to panelist. Please unmute your microphone and feel free to share your video. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes. Ms. Hassan?
Hi, good evening. I've been waiting. I just wanted to say a few things. I'm in Fort Lee. There's just so many things that I've heard. It's really sad. We all really want the best for our children. I want a few of these people to know that the parents especially, we need to be neutral, and we need to truly treat the children in the schools as if they're our own children. I have my kids in elementary school. They have their peers ask them, whose side are you on? Of course, they're going to ask whose side are you on because they hear their parents at home say whatever they're saying and they bring it to the classroom. I know that the teachers in question, they went over the lesson with the students, they went over the lesson with other teachers and the principal. I've seen the lesson plan. It's not biased. That's not fair. All of you who are talking about it's one-sided, it's not one-sided, and you know it. I'm going to have my daughter, who was actually in the class, speak.
Hi, I'm a student at Fort Lee High School. I keep hearing people who are not part of Fort Lee and who aren't part of the school or have kids speak about the lesson plan. I'm here to tell you my experience as a student who supposedly everybody is prioritizing. Our thoughts and feelings should be the focus. It shouldn't be what everybody else is saying. The best place I can learn about current events in my classroom is by trained educators. People keep blindly talking about it not being in the curriculum or approved by other staff members, but I distinctly remember Ms. Balgahum mentioning that she got it approved by numerous staff members, including ones that are higher up or that are more higher up than she is. I've seen the PowerPoint and it's unbiased and to the point. It leaves me room to make my own opinions while offering me multiple perspectives. Everything they are arguing about and everything that they are mad about is not valid. She did everything she did everything that you guys are arguing that she didn't do. She made it clear that both sides of story.
I just want to also interrupt that the parents are the most responsible. The parents that are talking and the actual Mr. Steinbach and the rabbi, I'm so embarrassed for you. The only people that should have spoken were the students in the class. Those are the only people that should have showed up and spoken about their experience. And then you could have taken it from there. Everyone else is there for their own reasons, and you all know it. So sit down and let the students who are our future tell you what their experience was in the classroom. That's what you should do. Thank you.
Jay Paranada, you've been promoted to panelist. Please unmute your microphone and feel free to share your video. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. Hi, everyone. This is Jay Paranetta Freed from 1 Wall Street, a parent of a student at school number 3. As a member of the LGBT community, I wanted to wish everyone on the line and those who listen in later a happy Pride. I wanted to congratulate the district music teachers and art teachers for putting on such a wonderful Circle of the Arts event for the entire district last Friday. It was really beautiful seeing how art matters to our community and how important it is for the Fort Lee curriculum to have arts. It really does matter. I also wanted to congratulate the Fort Lee High School Prism Club for organizing their 2nd annual community-wide Fort Lee Pride event on Sunday, June the 9th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Fort Lee Rec Center. For those of you who don't know, June is Pride Month, and having supporters and allies present to show up and show their solidarity and love for the LGBTQIA community is so very important for all. I truly feel like showing not just your emotional support, but your physical support proves that we matter to you, and not just for the month of June. So thank you to the Board of Ed for supporting platforms and making a commitment to the inclusiveness of our children. And lastly, I wanted to give a special shout out to SAPAG for having their board election soon. You all are doing amazing work for the neurodiverse community, and your work is moving. So bravo to you. Have a great night.
Sarah, you've been promoted to panelist. Please unmute your microphone and feel free to share your video. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes. Sarah? Sarah, you've been promoted to panelist. You need to click accept. Declined. Okay, Margarita Vigodner, you've been promoted to panelist. Please unmute your microphone and feel free to share your video. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes.
Hello, good evening. My name is Margarita Vigodner. I live
at Victoria Place in Fort Lee. So there were many lies about students at our high school. There is no bullying of Muslim students or Black students. That's just pure lie. Our kids don't care about nationality, about religions. My daughter went through the Fort Lee school system. She had friends, Muslim friends, African American friends, Christian friends, and my son Nathan. You know, parents probably know him. Like, you know, he has friends of all nationalities, Muslims, African Americans. They don't care. What these teachers did, they infused the community and the students with hate, and that's what's happening now. Now they will start thinking about it, okay, after this presentation. Second of all, someone said you have to listen to the students in the class. They had an interview on the news with the students, with the Jewish student in that class. First of all, it's a lie that cell phones were always collected. Second of all, he described through which emotional distress he went during this presentation. Just because they said, you know, you can leave, doesn't make it right. You know, I'm going to teach you how great Hamas is or how good Hitler is, but if you don't feel comfortable, you can leave. That's not how a Fort Lee school works, okay? Second of all, 95% of Jews are Zionists. Zionism is the idea that Jewish people has a right for the land. And so 98% of Jews are Zionists. When you talk about with the hate about Zionism, you are being anti-Semitic, okay? Because many of our speakers hateful comments about Zionists and, you know, Israel. You can criticize policies, you can criticize Israel, but you cannot support Hamas. If you care about Palestinian people, you cannot support Hamas. Hamas is hiding behind Palestinian people. They are launching their rockets on the hospital, from the schools. They use millions of dollars that went to Gaza, could be a Dubai, for the money that it went there. They used all the money to build their tunnels. They were stealing from Palestinian people. And now they are among them. So yes, Israel has to be more careful. It's not a genocide, okay? There are mistakes that happen, and we all wish and feel for the, you know, for innocent lives of both on both sides. They put leaflets from the plane. They send text messages when they going to attack. They ask people to move. Hamas is between them. They don't let them to evacuate. They are underground. They want more people to die, so more pressure to be put on Israel and the leadership of Hamas survive. They committed genocide. So the US doesn't recognize genocide, you know? So if US considers Hamas as a terrorist organization, if you don't agree, move to the country and, you know, maybe in the school there, you will be taught about genocide. United States recognizes Hamas as a terrorist organization. If you care about Palestinian people, you should first.
Ma'am, your time is up. Thank you.
Sarah, you've been promoted to panelist. Please unmute your microphone and feel free to share your video. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes. Sarah? You're muted, Sarah. I'm sorry. Please state your name and Sarah, you're muted. You're muted. Please state your name and address.
Hi, my name is Sarah. I live in Teaneck, but I grew up in Fort Lee. I grew up on Center Avenue. And I took art classes in the building that you guys are in right now as a child. And as a young adult, I served as a volunteer EMT for the Fort Lee Volunteer Ambulance Corps. And also my mother was a teacher in Fort Lee High School for many, many years. So I feel very connected to Fort Lee, and I wasn't really planning to speak tonight, but after hearing everything, I felt that I had to. Hamas is a terrorist organization, and I think that there's a lot of moral confusion in trying to make sense of everything that's going on in the world, but you shouldn't let that cloud your views. It's not fair to the students to portray them as anything else. And it's not fair to the future of the town to portray them as anything else. And you know, when I lived in Fort Lee, it felt like an inclusive place to live. It felt like it was welcome for everybody. I can't imagine this place being a welcome place for Jewish people if you allow teachers to be in your classroom who are teaching that Hamas is just a resistance group. And I hope that you are able to rectify this situation in whatever way you see fit. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Zoom user, you've been promoted to panelist. Please unmute your microphone and feel free to share your video. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes.
Hi, my name is Fatma El-Sadawi, and I am a student in Fort Lee High School. I do not want to say my address because I don't feel comfortable saying. First of all, I would like to say how the teachers before the presentation told the students how if they feel uncomfortable with the topic, they could leave. And usually it's normal for teachers to take away students' phones because students don't pay attention. And when Ms. Bargahum asked a student, she asked him if he was okay because the student said how long the presentation would be. The student did not respond. The two teachers are getting death threats from social media by people. And before, like they said in the presentation, that Palestinian was a Muslim, Christian, and Jew country until the Zionists took over, took people's homes, and killed innocent people. Israel is literally saying that they are trying to only kill Hamas. So you're telling me that these kids are part of Hamas. Recently, the Israel occupation burned Rafah, which is the safe zone right now for Palestinians, but now it's not so safe because they're burning innocent Palestinians. A kid was literally watching his father get burned alive, and there are videos to prove that. Thank you very much, and goodbye.
Attendee, you've been promoted to panelist. Please unmute your microphone and feel free to share your video. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes. Attendee. Declined promotion. Steph Kotso, you've been promoted to panelist. Please unmute your microphone and feel free to share your video. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes. Steph Kotso.
I wasn't going to speak. Hello, guys. Stephanie Cuzzo from Fort Lee. I wasn't going to speak tonight, but after hearing what's going on, this is something that we've been warning the town of Fort Lee about, the parents who have been concerned. We just had a meeting a few months ago about 5756, which is allowing teachers to have private sexual conversations with students and transition students in the school from kindergarten to 12th grade without informed parental consent. It is very obvious that we have a large problem in the school with rogue teachers, with people who are there to politicize children. It is very sad that our school has become this way, and I feel that, you know, Dr. Kravitz owes an explanation to us all on how our school went downhill so quickly. It was not this way prior to 2020. Many of the people who were against 5756 have spoken tonight and are pro-Marxist thought. When has the United States ever taken the side of a terrorist organization? Hamas has been a known terrorist organization and has murdered their own people. And I'm not going to get into all the specifics about what's going on, but the idea that any lesson plan of this nature or of sexual natures or of any other ideology that has nothing to do with math and English and science and history, not with a political ideation pushing forward, has really got to be taken out of our schools. Fort Lee is a tight-knit community. There is love for Jews. There is love for diversity. There is love for Muslims. There is love for people. And you see it in many of the posts that I see Mr. Knight's posts that he puts up celebrating the Indian community. We have got to stop politicizing children. And it is so sad to hear parents and children say, well, a teacher said we could leave the class. That's not the job of a teacher. Where do the children go when they just leave a classroom? We are the taxpayers and we are paying for this. And the school is pushing radical Marxist ideation onto small children. And it's very interesting that the Marxist Leninists took the hand of the PLO, and that's when all the terror began. And so I think people need to study the history. Something has got to change.
Thank you. Amatullah Salman, you've been promoted to panelist. Please unmute your microphone and feel free to share your video. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hey, how are you? Thanks for allowing me to speak tonight. I want to address, the entire community. I'm hearing a lot of talks about what Hamas is and what Hamas isn't, and being listed as a terrorist organization. Nobody's actually focusing on the fact that this teacher was just giving a lesson of what's going on regarding current events, which is something that we all did in school. I remember in high school, I was required in AP Gov to read the New York Times on a daily basis and give a feedback regarding the articles that were given in it. Now, this is something that the students can read about and do read about every single day. And if we are going to argue that, let's just look at the college campuses across the US. That's the first thing. So this was definitely within her scope of what she needs to do as a teacher, to actually raise children that are informed, raise children that are educated about the current events, what's going on in the world, what's going on in the US, what's happening with our taxpayer dollars, where is our money going, what's our government standing for, what is our government funding. So this is all educational. You can't argue that this was not an educational lesson. That's the first thing. The second thing is people keep talking about Hamas being a terrorist organization. Well, what does that mean? Yes, maybe they are listed as a terrorist organization according to the US government, and that's fine. But you know what? So was Nelson Mandela. And he was only just removed from the terrorist organization watch list by John Kerry in 2008. So being on an American terrorist organization doesn't really mean anything. I don't know if people know about Nelson Mandela, but he fought against the apartheid regime in South Africa for many, many years until South Africa got its liberation. You can say the same exact thing about the resistance movement in Ireland against the UK. They were also listed as a terrorist organization. And look where we are now. Okay, they are no longer a terrorist organization, and they are being taught in schools as resistance movement. And this is where, and you can talk to any Irish person that lives in the US, and they'll tell you how they feel about what the UK has done to their people and what the US has done to their people by listing them as terrorists. And they're no longer on the terrorist organization list. They have been removed, which is, again, you're talking about Hamas being a terrorist organization, which happens to be whatever serves the government that's in place at this current time. And basically, once they realize, oh shit, look, we really screwed up. Oh, they're not actually a terrorist organization, they're a resistant movement. Then they come off, because history, people just keep failing to learn from history. All right. Now, let me ask you all something. Let me ask you something. If the Holocaust was going on right now, would the Zionists have any issues with
people reporting about it? Would the Zionists have any issues with teachers teaching the kids about it while it's happening? So maybe these students can actually stand up and say, stop the genocide, or is there only one side? Enough. You're not going to silence us.
Dan, your time is up. Thank you.
C, you've been promoted to panelist. Please unmute your microphone and feel free to share your video. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes. C?
Hi, I'm so sorry. My name's Candace and I live in Westview Place. I actually lost my voice, so I'll make this quick. I just wanted to say 2 things. One, thanking the board for acting quickly and allowing the process and protocol to be followed. Clearly, there's a lot of big emotions, big feelings, rightly so on all sides. And I think it's important that we follow the procedures that we have in place. Having said that, watching this evening and the Board of Ed, the participants, I also do just want to make sure, I also heard that the teachers' addresses were given out. I know they have families, and I hope that if there's anything the Board of Ed can do or is within your ability to make sure that these teachers' mental and physical safety is also a priority. But again, I appreciate you keeping this going on all night, and you as well, Jason. Thanks so much. Have a good night.
Thank you. Alex Umansky, you've been promoted to panelist. Please unmute your microphone and feel free to share your video. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes. Alex Umansky.
Hi, how are you? I'm Alex in Edgewater, also a parent of children in the schools. I think listening to all the speakers and everything that's going on, I'm not going to touch on the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. There, certain students spoke up that the board should only be listening to the students because the students are at the mercy here of trained professionals. I believe Ms. Hassan's daughter mentioned that. Trained professionals, trained educators who are teaching history. The issue with that is, and why it's concerning for parents and why this is an issue in the first place, is because it's not all students that agree with what the teacher was teaching. Certain students came home and were dissatisfied with the lesson plan, were ashamed, and were upset about it. That's why this meeting is happening. As a trained professional, if you're going to teach students, for example, that the earth is flat, that Hitler and Nazi Germany were right in what they were doing to the Jews, or certain other outlandish things that we're seeing happening in campuses across the country, parents have a right to know, especially in the public education system. And that's why students are coming home and discussing it with parents. And that's why parents are raising these issues. So to Ms. Kotsov's point, trained educators need to follow the lesson plan that needs to be reviewed by the board, and that needs to be promulgated to the students. Trained educators should not be putting forth their own bias, their own views or interpretations of hot button topics such as the Middle Eastern conflict, such as what's happening in Russia and Ukraine, or plenty of other conflicts in Ukraine. Now, to the very irate lady that spoke, I believe 2 speakers before me, about Hamas. Hamas is a terrorist organization. It's not Nelson Mandela. It's not all other groups that have since had their tag of terrorist organization removed because Hamas came into Israel, murdered civilians, and raped kids, women, and children. So when you're calling a terrorist organization that's recognized by the European Union, United States, UK, and many other countries, when you're calling that as a legitimate resistance movement, that is a problem. That is a problem that's infiltrating our schools. That is a problem that is infiltrating our education. Those teachers should be held accountable because those teachers have no right to promote their own bias, promote their own views of a hot button topic such as the Middle East conflict to students who don't know better. They're at the mercy of the students, of the teachers. And they're coming home and they're speaking to the parents. That's why the parents have brought this. I hope you take the right action. Thank you.
Thank you. David Siegel, you've been promoted to panelist. Please unmute your microphone and feel free to share your video. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes. David Siegel.
Hello. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I did also just hear this young woman compare Nelson Mandela to Hamas. I don't believe Nelson Mandela or his followers ever cut off the heads of babies and raped women. She compared the Holocaust to Gaza. 6 million people were killed in the Holocaust systematically, while what's happening in Gaza is unfortunate. It's a war, and it's 30,000, not 6 million. What's interesting about America is that anyone, including that woman and many of the other speakers, has the right to speak for 3 minutes and spew lies, half-truths, misinformation, and pretty much say almost anything they want. And that's the beauty of America. Not something they could do in Gaza, because Hamas, if you speak 3 minutes badly about them, they'll kill you. However, while you have the right to say anything you want for your 3 minutes, teachers don't have the right to teach anything they want. There is a curriculum. They need to follow the curriculum. And we need to enforce that law, as well as any other laws that get violated by people who are expressing their beliefs and their actions and their protests. So I think an investigation is required. It was interesting to hear the position of some of the students who expressed what they had heard. But if in fact Hamas is not being presented as a terrorist organization, which is established fact, then that's a problem, and teachers should not be able to have the discretion to express their beliefs in violation or in contradiction of what the policy of the school is. So I encourage the Board of Ed to do its investigation and to take whatever action is appropriate to teachers who are taking education of our children into their hands. Thank you.
Thank you. Noah Abdelghani, you've been promoted to panelist. Please unmute your microphone and feel free to share your video. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes. Noah Abdelghani.
Hi, my name is Noha Abdelghani, and I'm a junior in high school. So I just wanted to come on here and say that I'm currently taking U.S. government in school right now. And this is a completely normal thing that we would have done in school. Every single day, my teacher tells me, go onto a news outlet that you know is neutral, okay? Go and look at the news. And can I say something? Every single news outlet that is known to be neutral now is talking about the genocide in Palestine. This is not an issue that is two-sided anymore, okay? The world knows what's happening. This isn't, oh, go on Fox News. You're going to see something pro-Israel. No, no, no. Even Fox News, okay, is talking about what's happening in Palestine. You can't, we have the recording. And to these people that are saying, oh, look at the beheaded babies. Let me see the recording. Let me see the video of the beheaded babies in Israel, because we have the video and the recordings and everything of beheaded Palestinian babies. So stop talking without proof. Let me see which women were raped. Let's see that, okay? Because we have videos of IDF soldiers going into women's houses and touching their private clothes, okay? That is a recording. But let me see the proof of what these people are saying. Again, I'm a high schooler. This is completely neutral. What do you want teachers to do? Not let their students have opinions? And I want people to stop saying, oh, we're kids. Guess what? I'm about to go to college. Am I allowed to have an opinion? Are you saying I'm not allowed to have an opinion? I'm allowed to choose, look at all the details and see what I can take from this article, okay? And what I'm seeing from literally every single news outlet you can go to that you can find online, hey, the UN is saying Israel is committing genocide. Are we only going by what the U.S. is saying? Hey, the U.S. that killed 200,000 women and babies. Guess what? The U.S. isn't God, my friends, okay? The U.S. is not God. There are other countries in this world with people. U.S. citizens are not the only humans in this world. There are other humans, okay? And they're getting killed, okay? Don't think that you're God because you are a U.S. citizen. There are babies killed in Vietnam, okay? And there are African Americans that were enslaved. And guess what? The same white Americans were wanting enslavement for African Americans. And that's what they're still allowing to happen to the Palestinian people. So guess what? These teachers that are allowing truth to be shown to their students and actually teaching me something, the classes that I enjoy, the classes that I actually feel like I'm learning something, you guys are trying to take that away.
I just want to let you know, you guys are the people that are trying to silence us and are ruining this goddamn country, okay? This country that stands for our democratic values, you are what's ruining it. The one class that I enjoy that's actually trying to show me truth, you are the ones that are ruining that. So let me say that to all the parents that say that they're standing up for the students. No, you're not, because I'm a student and I can tell you that right now, okay? So stop telling us what I want. I know what I want, and I want the truth to be told to me. Thank you, okay? We're good on your opinions.
Your comments, maybe time is up.
BK, you've been promoted to panelist. Please unmute your microphone and feel free to share your video. Please state, oh, did we lose BK? Adam Weissman, you've been promoted to panelist. Please unmute your microphone and feel free to share your video. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes. Adam Weissman.
Hi, can you see me?
Yes.
Okay, great. My name is Adam Weissman. I am a Jewish resident of Teaneck. My great-grandfather's uncle was murdered in an act of anti-Semitic terrorism in Belarus. My great-grandmother was a victim of the Holocaust in Poland. My great-grandfathers were U.S. infantrymen at D-Day and the Battle of the Bulge and the lead air navigator for the invasion of Normandy, Jews who risked their lives to liberate their people from the Nazi final solution. I have devoted my life to treating never again as a moral responsibility. Let us be clear, the kind of McCarthyite lynch mob we are seeing here makes Jews less safe. As a Jew, I am forced to ask, what if in 1944, 2 teachers taught a lesson about the Holocaust? What if thereafter members of the pro-Nazi German-American Bund packed the class school board meeting, denounced the lesson as anti-Germanism, and hooted and hollered when educators trying to teach about a genocide underway were called termites and pieces of excrement? What if they insisted that the atrocities being committed in the Nazi death camp not be taught? Anyone who is not clear which side of this room is preaching hate is in denial. We saw rageful screaming as people with kippahs entered the room. No Jewish community member was shouted down, but when a Palestinian spoke, suddenly a firearm coincidentally went off as the crowd shouted him down. It is not a coincidence who is in the room and who is on Zoom. Zionists over the last few months have weaponized the phrase, "I feel unsafe," to silence voices opposing genocide, but it is clear which community feels unsafe in that room. The board is doing nothing to make Palestinians, Arabs, and Muslims feel safe when it breaks its own rules by letting ignorant bigots continue speaking after hateful comments like they lie, cheat, and steal, and Palestine doesn't exist. We all know that if Palestinians had shouted down Jews in that room, they would have been violently attacked and probably arrested. Let's be clear, people aren't objecting to the presentation because it is propaganda, they're objecting because it isn't. The presentation is clear. October 7, 2023, this date marks the beginning of the deadliest clash between Palestinians and Israelis since early 2000. Hamas launched over 2,000 rockets into Israel and were able to break out of Gaza into Israel undetected. During this time, they killed 1,200 Israelis and took over 230 people as hostages. If there's any distortion here, it is not acknowledging deaths from Israeli-friendly fire. So there's no attempt here to distort history. But the lynch mob in that room doesn't want objectivity. They want Zionist propaganda taught as fact. They believe the slogan, "A land without people for a people without a land." Palestinians to them are not people. They have no history. There are no crimes that can be committed against them because they view them the same way they view these teachers, as termites, as pieces of excrement. They don't want our schools to teach that Palestinians are indigenous people to the land. They don't want our schools to teach that the Zionist project was premised on the expulsion of the Palestinian people. They don't want to hear Israel's own declassified records reveal that the Nakba, the ethnic cleansing of Palestine, was the cause of the war in 1948, not the trigger for it. They don't want us to talk about the 750 Palestinians who were expelled, how 15,000 were slaughtered, how 500 villages were destroyed by Zionist terrorists in 1948, about how the UN Special Rapporteur on the situation of human rights in the Palestinian territories occupied since 1967 has concluded that a genocide is underway in Gaza. Jews can never be safe in a world where educating on ethnic cleansing and genocide is shouted down. Never again means nothing if it isn't never again for anyone.
Thank you. Jason Folwicks, you've been promoted to panelist. Please unmute your microphone and feel free to share your video. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes. Jason.
Oh, yeah, hello?
Yes. Please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Jason and I live on Palisade. My opinion on this whole thing is Zionists could eat a dick, and that nigga David.
Can we cut him off? Next speaker, please. Thank you.
BK, you've been promoted to panelist. Please unmute your microphone and feel free to share your video. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes.
Hello?
Yes.
Yes, Ben from Fort Lee. My thoughts on all of this is, as a school board, it's your decision to just decide what you feel is appropriate and not appropriate. I think there's going to be a lot of opinions in regards to this matter, but at the end of the day, it's the education of your children. And what I would take into account is, how do you want your grandchildren to think? This generation has passed, our generation has passed, and as educators, it's all about the future generations. And if your child came back and said, Grandpa, so and so are creating a genocide, or this is what I learned in school, is that something as a grandparent that you would be proud of? So that's the thought process that I think has to go through. I think a lot of people are thinking very now and right now. But as we continue to go through this process, it's going to be, what about for the future? So no matter what you decide, you're going to upset people. There's never been a president elected to the United States that won a 90% of the American vote. That's who we are as people, whether you like it or not. We complain, we go back and forth. But I think at the end of the day, we have to really think about what our future is going to be. And when our grandchild comes to us on a Sunday, July 4th, and brings up a concept like this, are we going to be happy with our educational system, or are we going to say that we erred?
Thank you. FJMAF, you've been promoted to panelist. Please unmute your microphone and feel free to share your video. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, please state your name and address for the record.
Thank you. I prefer not to. I'm sorry, but I think it's absolutely ridiculous that some people here can only speak from one point of view. It's so. Hello?
Residence, if you do not, we'll move on. Can you please state your name and place of residence? Hearing nothing, next speaker.
My name is Sarah, and I live in Fort Lee. And I'm sorry, but I think it's ridiculous that people can come on here and speak from only one point of view. It's so infuriating to see such blind people. Anyone who has spoken so far and said that this is not a genocide or that Hamas is a terrorist group without acknowledging the absolute terrorist, disgusting, racist state of Israel is ignorant and disturbing. And to address all the people who have spoken about their fears on public schools becoming political is the most hypocritical thing I've heard. Because all I've heard is that you are against a political stance, and yet you are still taking a political stance with Israel. Do you not want your children to have an education? Because sorry to break it to you, but part of an education is current events. Politics is part of a basic high school education. If you stand against this, then you are raising a group of complacent, ignorant, deaf, and blind children. Allow your children to grow up and stop brainwashing them. Please, I'm begging, go learn history before speaking out. Someone before me mentioned that Hamas is about Hamas beheading babies, when this has been proved false on multiple accounts, including Biden's official team. Meanwhile, there is a real video of an actual beheaded Palestinian baby in Gaza. His name was Ahmed. Do not deny what is right in front of your eyes. Thank you.
Thank you. Attendee, you've been promoted to panelist. Please unmute your microphone and feel free to share your video. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes.
Jason, move on.
Leonid, you've been promoted to panelist. Please unmute your microphone and feel free to share your video. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes.
Hi, just wanted to tell that girl that whoever claims high
Leonid,
school.
please address the board directly.
Yes, I'm just letting you know that she has spoken 3 times under different names, so you should recognize the voice. The one that was praising Hamas. That's the same girl, same high school student. She spoke 3 times.
If you don't say
That's
your
it.
name
That's
and
what I
place of
want to say.
residence, we'll move on. Can you please state your name and place of residence?
Leonid Fort Lee, Westview Avenue. So I'm just telling the board that the girl spoke 3 times. That's it. That's all I want to say.
Yeah, thank you. State your name and place of residence prior to speaking. Thank you.
Lisa Hassan, you've been promoted to panelist. Please unmute your microphone and feel free to share your video. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes.
Good evening. I want to thank the board for their time to listen to the community. And I really hope you're listening. I'm a Bergen County resident for a long time now, and I have children that go to Fort Lee parks and area there, and the Islamophobia. I'm sorry?
You already spoke this evening, correct?
The Islamophobia that's being spewed in this.
Thank you. There are no more raised hands.
We have a motion to close the floor to the public. Motion Rubino, second Morel, all in favor? Any opposed or abstentions? Okay, resolutions. We have a motion to approve items 1B through 4B. Motion. Second. Motion Morel, second Rubino, roll call please.
Mrs. Byers-Kane.
Yes.
Ms. Colbath.
Yes.
Mrs. Curry. Yes. Mr. Knight.
Yes.
Mrs. Cotang.
Yes.
Mr. Lopez.
Yes.
Ms. Morel.
Yes, I abstain on my name on 3B.
Mr. Rubino.
Yes.
Mrs. Richter.
Yes. May I have a motion to approve item 1S? Motion. Second. Motion Morel, second Cotang, roll call please.
Mrs. Byers-Kane.
Yes.
Ms. Colbath.
Yes.
Mrs. Curry.
Yes.
Mr. Knight.
No.
Mrs. Cotang.
Yes.
Mr. Lopez.
Yes.
Ms. Morel.
Yes.
Mr. Rubino.
Yes.
Mrs. Richter.
Yes. We have a motion to approve item 1 CUR. Motion. Second. Motion Morel, second Cotang, roll call please.
Mrs. Byers-Kane.
Yes.
Ms. Colbath.
Yes.
Mrs. Curry.
Yes.
Mr. Knight.
Yes.
Mrs. Cotang.
Yes.
Mr. Lopez.
Yes.
Ms. Morel.
Yes.
Mr. Rubino.
Yes.
Mrs. Richter.
Yes. We have a motion to approve items 1F through 6F.
Motion.
Motion Morel, second Curry, roll call please.
Mrs. Byers-Kane.
Yes.
Mrs. Colbath.
Yes.
Mrs. Curry.
Yes.
Mr. Knight.
Yes.
Mrs. Cotang.
Yes.
Mr. Lopez.
Yes.
Ms. Morel.
Yes.
Mr. Rubino.
Yes.
Mrs. Richter.
Yes. We have a motion to approve items 1P through walk-in resolution 11P. Motion. Second. Motion Morel, second Cotang, roll call please.
Mrs. Byers-Kane.
Yes.
Ms. Colbath.
Yes, except no to 2 names on 5P and 11P, no.
That's 5P and 11P now?
Just 2 names on 5P and 11P.
Okay. Ms. Curry.
Yes.
Mr. Knight.
5P is an absolute no on XX57 and XX94, and it's an absolute no on 11P.
Mrs. Cotang.
Yes.
Mr. Lopez.
Yes.
Ms. Morel.
Yes.
Mr. Rubino.
Yes.
Mrs. Richter.
Yes. May I have a motion to approve item 1 POL? Motion.
Second.
Motion Morel, second Curry, roll call please.
Mrs. Byers-Kane.
Yes.
Ms. Colbath.
Yes.
Mrs. Curry.
Yes.
Mr. Knight.
Yes.
Mrs. Cotang.
Yes.
Mr. Lopez.
Yes.
Ms. Morel.
Yes.
Mr. Rubino.
Yes.
Mrs. Richter.
Yes. Is there any old business?
Yes, I would like, on the walk-in resolution, we started voting. Could you repeat the walk-in resolution again?
What do you want to know about the walk-in? We already voted on it.
I know, I know how I voted on it, but I wanted to know how it was stated.
The resolution was identified by the superintendent earlier in the meeting in his superintendent's report. The resolution, if I recall correctly, was to accept the resignation of the item 11P. It was upon a recommendation of the superintendent to accept the resignation of of teacher FB, high school effective June 30, 2024.
Thank you.
You said teacher what? I didn't hear that.
I said teacher FB, but just so we're clear, as all board members are aware, it's Fathia Baldahoon. Thank you.
Okay, any new business? Okay, motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second. Okay, motion Rubino, second Morel, all in favor? Any opposed?
Yes.
Thank you.